Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, National Treasure Map, Only I Can See the Hints. Chapter 1. Shocked. Shocked. The whole world is shocked. Dad Ma spent 1 billion to buy 10 transcendent level treasure maps, and finally dug out the 9 level gold core, and now he has become an immortal. The latest news is that an expert from the Magic City dug up 100,000 zombies. Currently, the Magic City has fallen into chaos. Good news. Good news, a senior high school student used a treasure map to dig out an ancient gold core. From now on, my fate is at my mercy. 1.4 billion people went viral. Someone dug up a fairy after using a high-level treasure map, and they are now married. Totally subvert your imagination. Citizen Zhang Mumu dug out a sea after using a high-level treasure map. Currently, Black Tortoise City has been completely flooded. It is rumored that netizen Yi used the transcendent level treasure map at the foot of Mount Tai and dug up a Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes-Benz is suspected to be the car of a big shot. Dao Rhyme is extraordinary. Brother Xiaoma of Nanshan Pizza Hut dug up an emperor penguin. The worst thing in history. Citizen Wang used 300 treasure maps in a row, and the value of them was not more than 1 yuan. Congratulations to the human race. Congratulations to Daxia. After using a high-level treasure map, Citizen Yang dug out, hell-suppressing divine elephant. Congratulations to the human race. Congratulations to Daxia. After using a high-level treasure map, a citizen named Duan dug out half a volume of the Dao Jing. Shocked. Shocked around the world. A certain tomato reader used a high-level treasure map to dig out an ancient dragon corpse. Su Yu kept refreshing the news on the internet, and he was completely confused. This is a world called Blue Star, which is very similar to the Earth in previous lives. But 3 years ago, everything became completely different because of the appearance of the treasure map. After someone used the treasure map, they dug up tens of thousands of zombies, causing the entire city to fall into a huge panic. Others dug up hundreds of millions of terrifying poisonous insects, turning the entire city into a human forbidden zone. Others dug up hundreds of thousands of Tauren. They occupied and slaughtered a city and established the Tauren kingdom on it. Of course, there are also people who have dug up many secret books and magical elixirs, which have given them unimaginable and terrifying power, which can move mountains and fill seas, and change the future. It is precisely because of their existence that the human fire continues on Blue Star today. After a long time, Su Yu calmed down, and then silently looked at the 3 treasure maps on the table. Using the treasure map, you may be able to dig out secrets of skills and panaceas, but more often you will be able to dig out unknown dangers. According to official statistics, the probability of digging up non-dangerous things with ordinary treasure maps is only a pitiful 10%. This means that if a treasure map is used, there is a 90% chance of failure. And this 90% risk can be as small as one's own death, or as big as it may implicate the entire city or even the entire country. By then, it will not be just oneself who will die, but millions or even tens of millions, compatriots. As for the probability of digging up good things, it is only about 1%, which can be said to be extremely small. These 3 ordinary treasure maps were obtained by Su Yu's predecessor before transmigrating. Because he was afraid of the unknown danger of digging up, his predecessor never dug up. Should I dig these 3 treasure maps or not? Su Yu was very confused. The risk is too great. If the value of the things dug out is not much, it will only cost you a treasure map, but at least you will still be alive. But if 100,000 zombies were dug up, Su Yu didn't think he would still be alive. How about I sell the treasure map? Su Yu thought about it and couldn't help but feel a little moved. According to the official guide price, an ordinary treasure map has a guaranteed minimum price of 100,000, and 3 can be sold for at least 300,000. In fact, it is normal for a treasure map to sell for around 200,000 yuan. For an ordinary person, this is quite a lot of income. It's actually okay to just be an ordinary person. When Su Yugong thought about it, he couldn't help but shake his head. No, absolutely not. Am I really willing to be an ordinary person for the rest of my life? Besides, even if I don't dig up, someone else will dig up. If 100,000 zombies are dug up in my city, it will be too difficult for an ordinary person like me to survive. Ding dong. Suddenly, a message was pushed on his phone, and Su Yu quickly clicked it and read it. Citizen Shu dug up a dragon in the Heaven and Earth foot bath shop. So far, 30 people have died and thousands of people have been injured. Seeing this, Su Yu's face suddenly became extremely ugly. If I remember correctly, the Heaven and Earth foot bath shop is only 5 or 6 kilometers away from me. Boom! Su Yu heard a loud noise and looked out the window. A giant dragon crashed into a building. The building collapsed. Countless people fell from the sky like dumplings, letting out harsh and desperate howls. Nothing happened to the giant dragon, and it flew away into the distance, leaving a mess along the way and causing countless casualties. On the road, pedestrians saw this scene and ran away in fear. Grass. Too dangerous. I really want to be an ordinary person, but reality doesn't allow it. I won't sell the treasure map. I will dig up the treasure map even if I die. Su Yu had an idea, gritted his teeth, rolled up 3 treasure maps, and went out quickly. Before the dragon is dealt with, you must not stay upstairs anymore. Once the dragon hits the building, you won't even have a chance to escape. After leaving the door, Su Yu ran away from the dragon without hesitation. 20 minutes later, Su Yu stopped, looked back, and breathed a sigh of relief when he found that the dragon had not come here. Here it is. Suddenly, Su Yu seemed to have thought of something, and quickly took out 3 treasure maps. After looking at them carefully, he stared dozens of meters away. The coordinates of one of the treasure maps are dozens of meters away. Do I want to dig it up? While thinking, Su Yu had already walked over. But when things come to an end, Su Yu is still a little entangled. There is a 90% danger. If he is unlucky, he will definitely die. Even if he is immortal, if he is disabled, it is equivalent to being useless. I haven't married yet. Su Yu was very confused and couldn't help but secretly said, "It would be great if I could see what was dug up in advance." Just as he was thinking this, Su Yu suddenly froze, then rubbed his eyes vigorously and looked attentively again. There are 99 zombies sealed here. Once opened, they will eat you until no bones are left. A row of golden handwriting appeared in front of my eyes very clearly. Is this a hint? Su Yu was stunned for a moment, and then couldn't help laughing. Can I see the prompt? If this is really the case, that would be so cool. This treasure map can no longer be opened. Not to mention 99 zombies, I can't defeat even one zombie. Now, there are 2 more treasure maps. Since I can see the hints, I have to dig out them. Su Yu was very excited now. As long as he could see the prompt, wouldn't it be 100% safe to dig according to the coordinates on the treasure map? 30 minutes later, Su Yu went around in circles and arrived 1 kilometer away. This is the location marked on the second treasure map. There is a lake sealed here, and there are 75 mermaids living in it. Their upper bodies are fish, and their lower bodies are a pair of beautiful long legs. They are full of desire for humans and ask for endless amounts. Are you sure you want to open this treasure map? Su Yu quietly read the prompts, and suddenly felt that his head was as big as an ox. After finally getting here, it was still in danger. Grass. Terrible. Can I encounter something like a mermaid? Su Yu came here via Transmigrate and checked a lot of information online. Naturally, he knew that there were 2 types of mermaids. One kind has a human upper body and a fish lower body. They have beautiful faces and most of them are friendly. But there is another type of mermaid whose upper body is a fish and whose lower body is a pair of long human legs. This kind of mermaid is full of malice towards humans, or in other words, in their eyes, humans are purely their tools. It was reported in the news that someone dug up a treasure map and discovered the latter kind of mermaid, but the man eventually died of exhaustion. I heard that the 7-foot man who originally weighed 160 pounds only weighed less than 60 pounds when he died. Even skin and bones cannot describe this man. It can be said to be tragic. Fortunately, I can see the prompt, otherwise, I wouldn't even know how I died. Su Yu was a little scared. If not, he would have died twice. There are 3 treasure maps in total, and now there is 1 more. My luck shouldn't be so bad, right? Su Yu couldn't help but become worried. It would be too uncomfortable if none of the 3 treasure maps contained treasures. Boom! Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Su Yu looked up and immediately saw strong human beings besieging the giant dragon. Although the dragon was suppressed, the aftermath of the battle spread in all directions, causing countless casualties. It's too dangerous. I will keep digging even if I try my best. Su Yu did not dare to hesitate anymore and left quickly. Facing such a huge dragon, he had no power to resist at all. The strong sense of crisis prompted Su Yu to burst out at an unprecedented speed and rush towards the location marked on the third treasure map. 40 minutes later, Su Yu panted heavily and finally arrived outside the ruins. Because of the appearance of the giant dragon, the people here had already fled, so Su Yu didn't even see him personally. I hope the third treasure map won't disappoint me. Su Yu took out the third treasure map, and then looked at it intently. There is a red fruit sealed here. Eat it and you can become stronger. The golden handwriting appeared in front of Su Yu very clearly. Su Yu's breathing became rapid. Red fruit. Will I become stronger if I eat it? Eat. You must eat. I will eat now. Su Yu was ecstatic and without any hesitation, he immediately used the treasure map in his hand. Suddenly, a small space appeared in front of him, and a red fruit was quietly placed. It didn't look dangerous in any way. This is vermilion bird fruit. The transmigrate came. Su Yu did a lot of homework and recognized it at a glance. It was an officially named spiritual fruit. After ordinary consumption, it will become a transcendent and can improve one's own talents. It is a very rare spiritual fruit. At that moment, Su Yu stuffed the vermilion bird fruit into his mouth. Before he could chew it, the vermilion bird fruit turned into a warm current and flowed to his limbs. Su Yu clearly felt that he was getting stronger rapidly. Suddenly, Su Yu's eyes flashed and he saw 9 huge chains emerging in a space. Suddenly, a flash of red power struck, breaking one of the chains. Suddenly, extremely powerful power surged into his body, and Su Yu's eyes returned to normal. As this power, Su Yu clenched his fists, feeling the surging power in his body, and secretly asked. Suddenly came out. Su Yu immediately looked around and saw dozens of meters away, the space cracked, and a zombie quickly came out. At some point, someone used the treasure map dozens of meters away and dug up zombies. Without any hesitation, Su Yu turned around and ran away. Although he now had very strong power, this was his self-perception. In fact, he had no idea how strong he was. Brother, help me. Su Yu had just been running for 2 minutes when he heard someone calling for help behind him. He glanced back subconsciously and saw a fat man running towards him. Behind the fat man, there is another zombie chasing him. I'm sorry, I have to run for my life too. Su Yu replied. Brother, save me. As long as you save me, I have a treasure map here that I can give you. The fat man behind said anxiously. He was almost crying. Even though he was running very fast now, he would not be able to run in another minute or two. No endurance. But the zombies can keep catching up at a constant speed, and by then, he will be dead. Su Yu stopped and looked back, hesitating on his face. Although he still has 2 treasure maps, he dare not use them. The only way to become stronger is to have more treasure maps. But it is too difficult to obtain the treasure map. Ordinary people can get a treasure map every year. If you want to get another treasure map, you have to defend your country and protect all mankind. It is said that even advanced treasure maps and transcendent level treasure maps may have come from this way. However, it can be said that it is extremely difficult for ordinary people to protect their homes and country. It's already pretty good if you can guarantee that you won't die. Of course, there is another way, which is to spend money to buy treasure maps. But who wants to sell their treasure map? Even if you know that using the treasure map may lead to horrific dangers, why not keep it? This was the case with Su Yu's predecessor. Brother, I'm serious. As long as you save me, this treasure map will be yours. The fat man almost cried. He took out a treasure map and threw it to Su Yu without any hesitation. Su Yu caught the treasure map, looked up at the zombies, and felt that he seemed to be faster than the zombies. Then he nodded and said, Okay, I promise you. At that moment, Su Yu glanced around, picked up the trash can on the side of the road, and threw it hard at the zombie. Boom! The zombie's head exploded and his body fell to the ground, twitched twice and stopped moving. The fat man stopped and looked at this scene with some surprise. Then he gave Su Yu a thumbs up and said breathlessly, Brother, this is awesome. I originally thought that we would work together to kill him. As a result, you killed this zombie instantly. Looking at it this way, bro, are you already a warrior? When ordinary people gain the power of transcendent, they become warriors. According to information published on the internet, there are 9 shackles in the human body. As long as any one of the shackles is broken, ordinary people will become warriors. Yeah, Su Yu nodded and asked, did you just dig up a zombie? Fortunately, only one zombie was dug up. If there were more, I would be dead. The fat man said with great fear. You are so lucky. Su Yu nodded in approval. According to records, at least 10 zombies were dug up. The fat man dug out one, which was really good luck. If there were 10 of them, even if Su Yu wanted to help, he would be powerless. Okay, I'm leaving. Goodbye. Su Yu waved his hand, turned around and left quickly. Hey, I also want to ask if you can collect treasure maps. After what happened this time, I don't dare to dig anymore. The fat man muttered helplessly. What did you say? You want to sell the treasure map? Su Yu came back again. Huh, brother, didn't you disappear without a trace? Why did you come back suddenly? The fat man was very surprised. Su Yu didn't explain. For some reason, his hearing seemed to have improved a lot, and he could hear the fat man's muttering even from a long distance away. It's not important. Did you just say you wanted to sell the treasure map? Su Yu asked quickly. There are no treasure maps that he can dig now. Now, he really needs to find a way to get some treasure maps. Obviously, there's nothing better than buying a treasure map that's in someone else's hands. Not bad. The fat man nodded and said, I was lucky this time. I only dug up one zombie, and I also met you. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know how I died. The fat man stared at Su Yu and said quickly, so, I decided to sell all the remaining treasure maps. Do you want it? I want it. Su Yu nodded and asked, how much are you going to sell a treasure map for? The official guide price is 100,000 yuan per piece. However, I do not accept the official guide price. These things are now available in the market but are priceless. Therefore, I am going to sell one piece for 200,000 yuan. Do you want to buy it? The fat man said with a smile. Su Yu was a little helpless. The fat man was right. The official guide price is indeed 100,000 for an ordinary treasure map. But if you really want to sell it, you can probably sell it for 200,000 yuan. This thing is priceless. You can't afford it, but there are people who can afford it. You care about 200,000, but there are people who don't care about 200,000. But where to get 200,000? Su Yu couldn't help frowning and said secretly, 200,000, I can actually get it together, but that is the money for me to marry a wife. I can't spend it randomly, otherwise, I won't be able to get a wife. Nonsense. Su Yu slapped himself in the face and scolded himself, what era is this? I'm still thinking about getting a wife. Women will only affect the speed at which I become stronger. Su Yu raised his head, stared at the fat man, gritted his teeth and said, I want the treasure map. How to deal? Of course it's the trading hall. Fatty said quickly. That's the official trading hall. It's safe and guaranteed. You don't want anything to go wrong in the middle, right? Okay, shall we go there now? Su Yu said. Not now, let's do this. Let's meet on the trading floor at 4:30 in the afternoon. The fat man took out his mobile phone and said, let's add a friend first, and then I'll send you a message. Okay. Su Yu was not in a hurry. After adding each other as friends, they separated. 200,000, treasure maps are really expensive. Su Yu muttered as he walked. Suddenly, he paused and thought of the other 2 treasure maps. He couldn't help but think, since, Fatty, my treasure maps can sell for 200,000 yuan, so can these 2 treasure maps of mine also sell for 200,000 yuan? If I can dig out something good, then I will definitely make a profit. If I can't dig out something good, then it won't be a loss. Thinking of this, Su Yu suddenly felt that his mood suddenly became brighter and his thoughts became extremely clear. An hour later, Su Yu arrived at the location of the 4th treasure map. I hope Fatty's treasure map can surprise me. Su Yu looked at it intently. There is a fragment of a Taoist weapon sealed here. You can exert 1/1000th of its power. Remember, do not call its owner's name, otherwise, he will reappear in the long river of time. Golden handwriting suddenly appeared. What is a Taoist soldier? I have never heard of it. How much power is 1 in a billion? Su Yu frowned slightly. He was hesitating, Should he dig? If you dig it out, the 200,000 will be gone. If you don't dig it, what if it's a good thing? Gamble. After struggling for 3 seconds, Suyu used the treasure map directly without any hesitation. Suddenly, Suyu saw a space in which a fragment the size of a fingernail was quietly suspended. The golden light shines on it, like the scorching sun, very dazzling. If not, it would be really not easy to find such a fragment. Suyu stretched out his hand, and the fragment fell into his palm. The light on it quickly became inconspicuous. There were complicated lines carved on it, which seemed to contain incredible power. Suyu said that he couldn't understand them at all. At the same time, when he got it, Suyu felt that he had established a special connection with the fragment. This connection allows you to easily control the fragments and unleash the power of the fragments. Roar! Suddenly, a deafening sound came, and Suyu looked back, his expression suddenly changed tragically. It has been so long, but the giant dragon that was dug out has not yet been solved. The giant dragon was 100 meters long, its body covered the sky and the sun, and it was ramming towards it from a distance. Buildings collapsed one after another, causing dust to fill the sky, and countless people died. Get away from everyone. Behind the giant dragon, a strong human race came through the air and shouted anxiously. There are countless people in the direction of the dragon, and Suyu is one of them. Considering the dragon's speed, Suyu had no hope of avoiding it. Even if the dragon is covered with wounds, it still possesses extremely terrifying power. Before it dies, it can drag countless people to be buried with it. This is a disaster for all mankind. In the past 3 years, countless people have died because of this. I'm still young. I don't want to die. Suyu broke out in a cold sweat. No, I absolutely can't die. By the way, I still have a fragment. I can only exert 1/1000th of my power. I don't know how strong it can be. Now, I can only act as a doctor. Suyu gritted his teeth, quickly calmed down, held the fragment in his palm, and activated the power in it. Boom! The world shook, and a golden stick suddenly appeared, crossed the sky, and hit the dragon hard on the head. Boom! The giant dragon didn't even react. The huge dragon head fell into pieces, and the 100-meter-long body fell to the ground feebly. You're so strong. There seems to be words on it, like something. Suyu was shocked, but the next moment, he felt weak all over and his legs were trembling. Is this a sequelae? It's too. Boom! Suyu collapsed on the ground, his whole body was weak and trembling, and he felt extremely weak. Behind the giant dragon, 7 or 8 strong men were chasing after them. After seeing the giant dragon that had been killed, they couldn't help but look very surprised. Which strong man took action? Someone said, I just saw the word, Ruyi Golden Cudgel, written on the stick. Could it be that the legendary great Saint Qitian took action? Another person said, I never heard that anyone dug up the great Saint Qitian. Everyone frowned. Don't worry about it for now. Since the dragon is dead, it's a good thing. Let's save people first. A woman with great ambition and generosity said, although the dragon is dead, there is still a great danger. Move nearby people to safety first, then clean up any places where the dragon has been. After saying that, she fell down, looked around, and finally her eyes fell on Suyu. The dragon is really too strong, look how scared the young people are now. She walked up to Suyu and hugged Suyu without saying anything. Women are all gentle and gentle. Suyu wants to resist, but he doesn't want to fall into the gentle and tender land and sink into it, unable to extricate himself. However, he was too weak now to resist, and even found it difficult to speak. After arriving at a safe place, the woman put Suyu down and said to Suyu very apologetically, I'm sorry, we couldn't get rid of the dragon immediately and caused you trouble. I'm really sorry. Before Suyu could speak, the woman had already turned around and walked away. Within a few minutes, Suyu saw the woman and others sending many people over. Hey, can you stand up? The woman who sent another group of people over suddenly saw Suyu standing up and walked over, saying with some surprise. Thank you just now, Suyu said weakly. He knew that this woman's name was Lindsay, and she was a night watchman. 3 years ago, a treasure map suddenly appeared. Countless people used the treasure map to dig for treasures. As a result, a group of monsters were dug out, which brought about the end of the world. At that time, the country urgently established a night watchman organization in order to protect the people of the world and restore peace to the world. This is what I should do. Lin Zi nodded lightly and was about to leave. Suddenly, his eyes showed surprise. He looked at Su Yu carefully and said unexpectedly, I didn't pay much attention just now, but now I realize. At such a young age, you have already broken the shackles and started genetic evolution. I don't remember there being a young warrior like you in Tianhe City. You probably haven't registered with the Night Watch yet, right? Su Yu shook his head and said truthfully, yesterday I was still an ordinary person. Today I used the treasure map and dug out a vermilion bird fruit, which allowed me to evolve. You're so lucky. Lin Zi handed over a business card and said, remember to come to the Night Watch branch tomorrow. All those who have turned on genetic evolution need to be registered. When the time comes, remember to call me and I will take care of you personally. You go and do it. Okay. Su Yu nodded and put away Lin Zi's business card. In the distance, someone noticed this scene. After Lin Zi came back, someone asked, Lin Zi, did you find something? I discovered a young man of 18 or 19 years old. He just broke his shackles today and started genetic evolution. He is a good seedling. Lin Zi did not hide it. Are you breaking the genetic shackles at the age of 18 or 19? Someone lost his voice, then licked his lips and said happily, the younger you are when you break the genetic shackles, the greater your future achievements will be. Some people are too old. Even if you barely break the genetic shackles, even if you dig out another treasure in the future, unless this treasure reaches the sky and is very extraordinary, it will be difficult to achieve anything. But young people are different. Their bodies are still at their strongest and they have unlimited possibilities for the future. The same treasure has completely different effects in the bodies of young and old people. Compared with the elderly, young people can become stronger more easily and consume fewer resources. Everyone looked excited and seemed very happy. The apocalypse is coming. Only by holding together for warmth can we tide over the difficulties together. After Su Yu recovered his strength for a while, he quickly left the place. As for the dragon, although he was killed by him, he never thought about taking possession of the spoils. He had just transmigrated, and although he had received all the memories of his predecessor, he was still full of distrust of everyone. I can't believe everyone in peacetime, let alone the end of the world. Su Yu is very self-aware. This fragment, even if I can only exert 1/1000th of its power, is still very terrifying. Such a powerful dragon was actually smashed to death by me. As Su Yu walked away, he complained secretly, but this is a real man for 1 second. After 1 second, I will stop eating. Therefore, it must not be used unless it is absolutely necessary. Now, the most important thing for me is to collect treasure maps, and then follow the prompts to find the treasures, so as to improve my strength as soon as possible. Strength is the right to speak. At 4:30 in the afternoon, Su Yu appeared in the trading hall on time, and then met Fatty. Have you brought the money? Fatty asked straight to the point. Su Yu's mouth twitched, but he still said, take it. In fact, he didn't have that much money on his card, but he worked hard to collect enough money to get 200,000. This money was left by the predecessor's parents during his lifetime to buy him a wife. Now, it's all gone. On the trading floor, under the witness of officials, the two conducted transactions. Su Yu got another treasure map. Good buddy, if you still want the treasure map, you can contact me. I still have a lot of this stuff. After the transaction, the fat man said, anyway, I'm scared. I don't dare to dig for the treasure map anymore. If this kills me, our whole family will cry to death. Why do you have so many? Su Yu couldn't help but asked curiously. Hee. The fat man smiled and said in a low voice, I am the only child in the family. My grandparents, my parents, including me, there are 7 people in total. In the past 3 years, each of us there are 3 treasure maps in each, and together they are 21. Tell me, why do I have so many? When Su Yu heard this, he couldn't help but be envious. After the treasure map came out, everyone would be given a treasure map every year. However, he transmigrated and started as an orphan. It was really a hellish difficulty. I used a treasure map, gave you one, sold you another one, and now there are 18 more. The fat man continued. However, the ugly words are ahead, because you saved me, hidden. If you want a treasure map, I will sell it to you first for 200,000 apiece. But you have to hurry up. I will sell all the remaining treasure maps soon. If you are late, I may sell them to others. Quote. After smiling, the fat man turned and left. What if I transmigrate and become a fat man? There are 21 treasure maps at the beginning, and Ascension is right there. Su Yu was so envious. Looking down at the treasure map in his hand, Su Yu hurriedly left the trading hall and ran towards the location marked on the treasure map. The distance is actually not too far, only about 3 kilometers from the trading hall. Because he broke the shackles, started genetic evolution, and became a warrior, it only took Su Yu 10 minutes to reach the target location. Su Yu first glanced left and right, and after finding that there was no one nearby, he looked at the target attentively. Soon, golden writing appeared. There is a tomato sealed here. Eat it and you can become stronger. Su Yu was stunned. What happened to tomatoes? But soon, Su Yu laughed out loud. It didn't matter what it was, as long as there was no danger and it could make him stronger. Without any hesitation, Su Yu immediately used the treasure map. A space emerged, with a fist-sized tomato floating quietly in it. As soon as he saw this tomato, Su Yu couldn't help but his eyes lit up and his mouth watered. Although this looked like an ordinary tomato, for some reason, Su Yu's instinct told him that he must eat it. So, in the next moment, Su Yu reached out to pick up the tomato and took a bite. Sweet and sour, very delicious. Suddenly, Su Yu's eyes flashed and he saw a familiar space. Originally there were 9 chains here, and these chains were the shackles that imprisoned the human body. Now, Su Yu saw that there were only 8 chains left in his body. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying force rushed in arrogantly and hit one of the chains hard. It broke. There are 9 chains in total, and now, 2 chains have broken into pieces. In an instant, Su Yu felt an incomparable surge of power being born in his body, and his life seemed to have jumped to another level. According to information published on the internet, there are 9 shackles in the human body. Every time a shackle is broken, the rank 1 cultivation level is improved. Su Yu returned to normal before his eyes, and thought to himself, I broke 2 chains, so I should be a warrior rank 2 now. Because he had just transferred here, Su Yu didn't find much information. In fact, everything that happened seemed very fantasy to Su Yu. Sometimes, Su Yu wondered if he was dreaming. It should be warrior rank 2. I'll find out when I go to the Night Watch branch tomorrow. Su Yu told himself. There are 5 treasure maps in total. I have used 3 of them. There are still 2 treasure maps that I can't use anymore. If you don't use them, keeping them is a waste, but if you use them, even if I am a warrior rank 2, it will be very dangerous. If I sell it to others, if they are ordinary people, it will be a harm to them. So, if I want to sell, I must sell to a strong person. There is a mixture of good and bad people on the trading floor, and I can't tell whether the other party is strong or weak. But when I go to the Night Watch branch tomorrow, they must all be strong. Su Yu thought secretly and had a bold idea in his heart. Sell the dangerous treasure map and use the money you get to buy a new treasure map from the fat man. In this way, you can loop endlessly until the things dug up from the treasure map are no longer dangerous. Ah, I am really a genius. Su Yu couldn't help but admire. Now, go home and sleep and recharge your batteries. Su Yu had no money to take a taxi and could only walk. But now, he is already a warrior rank 2, and his physical fitness is extraordinary. Even if he is walking, he will not feel tired, and his speed is very fast, comparable to an electric motorcycle. 20 minutes later, Su Yu looked at the ruined community, opened his eyes wide, and murmured, "Where is my house?" The community where Su Yu was located had been razed to the ground, and screams continued under the rubble. Outside the community, emergency vehicles were parked. Officials poured into the ruins and were rescuing people everywhere, and many ordinary people also spontaneously joined the rescue team. Su Yu's face suddenly became extremely ugly. If he hadn't left immediately at that time, he might have become one of the ruins now, right? Too scary, too dangerous. Su Yu clenched his fists and joined the rescue team. It wasn't until late at night that Su Yu stopped. Fortunately, after the dragon appeared, the officials had already arranged for people to be evacuated. Most people left early, but a few people didn't hear anything because they were too deep in sleep. By the time they heard it, it was already too late. In a tent, Suyu turned on his mobile phone and browsed the local news. Today, Citizen Wang used a treasure map to dig out a dragon, killing more than 1,000 people and injuring more than 100,000 people. The casualty data are still being counted. Due to the destruction of the dragon, 23 buildings in this city were destroyed, the loss exceeded 100 billion. Currently, Wang has been detained and the case is under further investigation. Citizen He used the treasure map to dig up 3 zombies. Currently, the 3 zombies have been killed without causing any harm. Citizen Guo Mumu used the treasure map to dig out a snake valley. Currently, the night watchman has organized people to go in and explore. Citizen Chen Mumu used the treasure map to dig out a volume of Sunflower Collection. Chen Mumu has been rushed to the hospital. Citizen Zhang used the treasure map to dig out the rumored fish gut sword. Suyu frowned slightly when he saw this. If he remembered correctly, the fish intestine sword seemed to be one of the top 10 famous swords. How powerful is this thing? Suyu shook his head. He wasn't too sure, so he continued to look down. Citizen Su used the treasure map to dig out a vermilion bird fruit. After taking it, he broke the shackles and started genetic evolution. Huh, are you talking about me? Suyu frowned and thought for a while. It should be the night watchman Lindsay who reported it. Others shouldn't know. Suyu continued to read the news. Citizen Chao dug up a stereo after using the treasure map. Citizen Duan used the treasure map to dig out a woman in ancient costume. Now he has applied for an ID card and household registration for the woman in ancient costume. Citizen Shu dug out a chessboard after using the treasure map. Shu was trapped in it. The night watchman has organized people to rescue him. It wasn't until late at night that Suyu put down his phone and fell asleep deeply. The next day, as soon as it got dark, Suyu simply washed up and then came to the night watchman's branch. Before coming, Suyu called Lindsay first. Suyu, are you here? Lindsay seemed to be in good spirits. Her mind was grand and generous, and she kept dazzling Suyu's eyes. But Suyu didn't seem to be interested in any of this, and his eyes were as clear as water, which made Lindsay become more interested in Suyu. Hello, I'm here to register. Suyu said quickly. I know, come with me. Lindsay led the way, with a voluptuous figure and full of charm. But Suyu turned a blind eye to this scene. As he walked, he lowered his head and took his mobile phone to send a message to Fatty. Fatman, I want 2 treasure maps. I want them today. I will tell you the time later. Let's pay the money with one hand and the other with the other hand. Goods. Not today, I'm in the hospital. Let's wait until I'm discharged. Fatty quickly sent a message. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Suyu's face was filled with questions. What's wrong with you? Which hospital are you in? I'll go see you later. Oh, it's hard to explain. If you want to come over, then come over. I'm at the city's first people's hospital. You can come directly to Ward 666 when the time comes. Okay. Suyu put away his phone in confusion, and then followed Lindsay to a machine. Give me your ID card. Lindsay stretched out his hand. Suyu handed over his ID card. Oh, you're only 18 years old. Lindsay smiled, swiped his ID card on the machine, then returned the ID card to Suyu, and said, put your hand on it, and then mobilize your power to circulate in your body. This machine will test your strength. Suyu did not hesitate and mobilized the power in his body. The big screen of the machine suddenly flashed, and the 4 characters, Warrior Rank 2, appeared. It's only been 1 day and you've reached Warrior Rank 2. Lindsay couldn't help but said. Most people, even if they use the treasure map to dig out good things, still need 3 or 4 times to reach Warrior Rank 1. Quote. Are you now a Warrior Rank 2? It's not that bad. Yesterday I dug out a tomato. This is the Warrior Rank 2. Suyu said with a smile. Did you dig 2 treasure maps and 2 treasures in 1 day without encountering any danger? Lindsay said in surprise. No one else has this kind of luck. Let's go and register with my sister. Lindsay pulled Suyu away enthusiastically. It took 10 minutes to get it filed. Suyu couldn't help but sigh. It doesn't matter, the efficiency is really different. Suyu. After the registration was completed, Lindsay pulled Suyu into an office and said, "Now, you have two choices." Before Suyu could speak, she said to herself, "First, you continue to be your common people. Well, you are still in school, you can continue to go to school. Second, you can apply to join the Night Watch. Just like us, it is your duty to protect the world." After a pause, she stared at Suyu and said very seriously, "So, are you willing to join the Night Watch now?" Suyu suddenly became confused. The Night Watch is the only official super organization in Daxia. Joining it will definitely bring many benefits. But correspondingly, once you join it, you will have to bear corresponding responsibilities, which will naturally be very dangerous. It is no exaggeration to say that wherever there is danger, there is a night watchman. The night watchmen are always at the forefront of the battle. Many times, the people can retreat and escape, but the night watchers cannot. They need to fight to the death to buy enough time for the people behind to retreat. If you don't carry a gun and I don't carry a gun, who will protect the people of Daxia? Lindsay's words made Suyu's blood boil. But soon, Suyu calmed down, hesitated for a moment, and then said, "How about you tell me something more practical?" "Huh." Lindsay suddenly smiled, a little disappointed, but not too disappointed. She said, "I thought you were passionate, but now it seems that you are not, you are very calm. However, this is also a good thing. Having passion, hot-blooded people often die miserably. Since you said something practical, I will tell you something practical. Join the Night Watch. During the internship, you are guaranteed 3 treasure maps. If you become a regular employee, you will have 1 treasure map every month. That's 12 treasure maps in a year." Lindsay spoke quickly, "This is just a guarantee. Every time you go on a mission, the organization will give you some treasure maps or other treasures based on your performance in completing the mission. In addition, you also need to know that in addition to the treasure map given to you by the organization, God will also give everyone a certain number of treasure maps." God. Suyu frowned. 3 years ago, the treasure map suddenly appeared, and no one knew what it was about. The treasure map just appeared out of nowhere. When the time came, it was born out of thin air and appeared directly in everyone's hands. Very fantasy. Currently, we haven't figured out where the treasure map came from, so for the time being, we attribute it to God. Lindsay explained. Suyu nodded and asked, "Where did the treasure map rewarded by the Night Watchman come from?" According to what he knew, there were currently only 2 sources for the treasure map. One is to wait for God to send out a treasure map for each person every year. The second is to participate in some tasks like a night watchman to protect the country and the people. When the task is over, you will get the treasure map. It seems to have been sent by God. Apart from this, there is no other source, at least, Suyu doesn't know about it. This, I don't know either. Lindsay shook her head. I just heard that the top brass of the Night Watch seemed to have special channels to obtain the treasure map. When Suyu heard this, he nodded and asked, "Are there any other benefits?" To be honest, he was already moved. However, he knew that since Lindsay invited him to join the Night Watch, it meant that he was valuable. Therefore, he was not in a hurry and asked first before speaking. "What other benefits are there?" Lindsay took a deep look at Suyu, and then said, "With an annual salary of 1.2 million, I will give you a 200 square meter flat. All water, electricity, property, broadband and phone bills will be included, and I will also give you a car. The gas money organization will reimburse you. In addition, if you want to get married, the night watchman will help you introduce a partner." So good. Suyu couldn't help but ask. "That's natural." Lindsay nodded. "Okay, I'll join." Suyu agreed directly without asking or hesitating. No matter which world you are in, the system will always be the most fragrant. The Night Watch is the only official super organization in Daxia, so it is destined that he will try his best to join it. Not to mention, by joining the Night Watch, he can get more treasure maps. Money or not, housing or not, he actually doesn't care. The important thing is the treasure map, which is the key point. "Okay, come with me to go through the formalities." Lindsay was very happy and took Suyu to go through the formalities. In less than 20 minutes, Suyu successfully joined the Night Watchman, although he was currently only an intern Night Watchman. This is the key to room 808, Building E, Night Watchman's family building. It has everything inside. You can check in with your bag. As for the car, I won't give it to you until you become a regular employee. This is your night watchman ID. Remember to take it with you. Sometimes, the ID is very important when doing things. Also, this is a night watchman watch. It integrates positioning, communication, and calling for help. It cannot be separated from the body unless there are special circumstances. This is the uniform of the night watchman. You don't need to wear it on weekdays. You only wear it on special occasions. You can just leave it at home. After a pause, Lindsay said, "Okay, you can leave now. If there is a mission, I will notify you." Suyu was a little confused. The time was too short. To be honest, he had not yet adapted to the change of identity. Sister Lin, Suyu organized his speech and said, "I have 2 treasure maps that I plan to sell. Do you have channels here?" Lindsay stared at Suyu in surprise and asked, "The treasure map is marketable but priceless, and you actually want to sell it?" Suyu smiled awkwardly and said, "I have dug out 3 treasure maps. My intuition tells me that if I dig further, I may be in danger, so I want to sell the remaining treasure maps." "Drop it, wait a few days, I have a new treasure map, I'll go dig it again." Suyu made up a lie. There is no way to tell the real situation. Lindsay looked at Suyu deeply and said, "Since you want to sell it, it's not impossible. No one will buy it. Wait for me first, I'll make a call," Lindsay said while dialing a phone number. Soon, a bald man walked in, smiled and said to Lindsay, "Captain Lin, why did you suddenly ask me to come here?" "Lei Gang, I heard that you have been buying treasure maps these past 2 days." Lindsay asked. "That's true." Bald Lei Gang touched his bald head and said with a smile, "I have reached a bottleneck in my cultivation recently. I want to buy some treasure maps and dig for them to see if I can dig out anything good to help me break the bottleneck. Here are 2 treasure maps. I'll sell them to you for 500,000 yuan. Do you want them?" Lindsay said. "Captain Lin, your heart is dark." The bald man curled his lips and said, "The market price is only about 200,000, and the 2 together are only 400,000. Captain Lin just opened his mouth and directly blackmailed me for 100,000. It's too much." "Then do you want it or not?" Lindsay asked impatiently. "You don't want it, some people want it. I remember that your enemy seems to be buying the treasure map too. If not, I will sell it to him." Okay, for Captain Lin's sake, I want both of these treasure maps," Baldhead said helplessly. In the eyes of ordinary people, treasure maps are really expensive, but in his eyes, not to mention 200,000, even 500,000 is not expensive. Once good things are dug out, their value is enough to buy thousands of treasure maps. Soon, Suyu received a text message reminder that 500,000 yuan had been received. "Young man, Captain Lin is a very nice person. Follow Captain Lin." Bald Lei Gang got the treasure map and patted Suyu on the shoulder before leaving. "Suyu, if you still want to sell the treasure map in the future, come to see me. I can sell it for you at a high price. However, I suggest you that it is better to keep the treasure map for yourself. You can go there at any time when you are ready. Dig. Once you dig out something good, isn't it better than 500,000? Lindsay advised. "Thank you, Sister Lin, I understand." Suyu nodded with a smile, and then asked, "Sister Lin, if this treasure map is dangerous, can he handle it?" Suyu was actually a little worried. If this tricked the bald head, it would be unreasonable. Digging for the treasure map means life or death. Even if it is really dangerous, I can't blame you. Lindsay comforted him and said, "Of course, Captain Lei Gang is not weak himself and can deal with ordinary dangers. Moreover, he always leads people to dig for treasure maps. Even if they are not ordinary dangers, he can easily deal with them." Quote. Lin Ziwen, like a big sister, patted Suyu on the shoulder and said with a smile, "You are mine now. You don't have to worry about this, and you don't have to worry that if you don't dig out good things, Captain Lei Gang will come to trouble you." "That's okay." Suyu was slightly relieved. If nothing happened to the bald Captain Lei this time, he was going to sell him all the treasure maps in the future. After leaving the Night Watch branch, Suyu proudly took a taxi online and went to the First People's Hospital of the city. Outside the hospital, Suyu bought some fruit, thought about it, and picked up 2 more boxes of milk before entering the hospital and going straight to Ward 666. Hey, Fatty, what's wrong with you? As soon as he entered the ward, Suyu saw a lot of gauze wrapped around Fatty's crotch, and couldn't help but be a little confused. Could it be that the fat man came to the hospital to undergo surgery? Alas, after Suyu put down the fruit and milk, the fat man sighed and said, "After I said goodbye to you yesterday, I still couldn't hold it back. I went home and took a treasure map to dig for." When he said this, the fat man was a little confused, as if he was wondering whether to say it or not. "And were you in danger?" Suyu glanced at the gauze area and couldn't help but want to laugh. The fat man's face turned red, but he shook his head and said, "I didn't encounter any danger, but I dug out a book of exercises." Suyu was surprised. While envious, he was also happy for the fat man and said, "You are very lucky. With the skills, you will be able to rise to the top from now on and you will no longer be an ordinary person." After a pause, Suyu asked doubtfully, "That's not right. You found the technique, why did you end up in the hospital?" Don't you watch the news?" Fatty asked with a bitter look on his face. "I read the news every day." "What does this have to do with the news?" Suyu asked. I'm the one who dug out the sunflower collection." The fat man turned his head, as if he didn't dare to look at Suyu. Sunflower collection. Suyu was startled, a little impressed, but he quickly took out his phone and entered the 4 words, "sunflower collection," to search. Soon, news jumped out. Citizen Chen Mumu used the treasure map to dig out a volume of sunflower collection. Chen Mumu has been rushed to the hospital. Suyu looked stunned, then looked at the fat man and asked weakly, "Fat man, your surname is Chen?" "Yeah." The fat man's voice was like a mosquito, and he didn't dare to speak loudly. "Your courage is commendable." Suyu couldn't help but give a thumbs up. "I was so excited at the time that I didn't think much about it. I saw it written in the sunflower book that, if you want to practice this skill, you must first commit suicide, so I cut it off directly." The fat man looked embarrassed, but he seemed to want to find someone to talk to. He turned his head and whispered, "After I had the surgery, I saw the second page, and there was a sentence, 'If you don't commit suicide, you can still succeed.' Then I called the emergency number." Suyu wanted to laugh, but he held back and asked, "Catch it?" "It's connected," the fat man said weakly. "The doctor said that if you take good care of it, it will still be able to be used in the future." "That's okay." Suyu nodded, patted the fat man on the shoulder, and said, "Then you take good care of your injuries. When you are healed, I will come to you to buy the treasure map." "It's okay." The fat man turned his head, his face was hot and red. He took out 2 treasure maps from under his body and said, "I thought you might be in a hurry, so after talking to you just now, I will let you know my family sent me 2 treasure maps." "Fat man, you are so kind." Suyu did not go to get the treasure map, but first transferred 400,000 to the fat man. When there was a credit reminder on the fat man's phone, he took away the 2 treasure maps. As soon as he came in and out, Suyu made 100,000 in tears. He felt that Fatty was really good, and secretly swore that when he became rich in the future, he would never forget Fatty. What I told you, you must never tell anyone else." The fat man hesitated for a moment and warned, "Don't worry, I didn't hear anything today," Suyu assured, patting his chest. Then, Suyu said, "Fat man, if you don't use it, keep it all for me. I want them all. But, I need some time. Can you be accommodating?" The fat man stared at Suyu with some surprise, then nodded and said, "For the sake of saving my life, I will keep it for you for a month. After 1 month, I might sell it to someone else." "Okay, 1 month is enough," Suyu said with a smile. "Fat man, I'll leave first. I'll come see you tomorrow." After Suyu left, the fat man's expression gradually returned to normal, and then he took out a yellowed ancient book from under the pillow and read it carefully. On the cover of the ancient book, there are 4 characters, "Sunflower Collection," written on it. After a moment, the fat man suddenly laughed. "That's it, haha, I understand." Suddenly, the air vibrated, as if some mysterious force was coming from all directions and entering the fat man's body. The sunflower book vibrated, turned into a beam of light, and penetrated into the fat man's eyebrows. The fat man fell into a coma, but the aura on his body became stronger and stronger. After leaving the hospital, Suyu walked home without taking a taxi. Although there is a new house now, there are still some things in the original home that he has to take out. Soon, he arrived outside the community that had been turned into ruins. Suyu saw people queuing up, as if they were registering something. Suyu hurriedly ran over and saw an owner in the community. He quickly smiled and asked, "Uncle Zhang, what are you doing?" "Xiaoyu." Uncle Zhang took a puff of cigarette after seeing Suyu, and then said, "Didn't our community be destroyed by that beast?" The night watchman came forward and replaced the community owners with a new house for free. There is also a compensation of 200,000 yuan. If someone in the family dies, each person will be compensated 1 million yuan. We are registering now, and when the registration is completed, we will pay compensation. Only then did Suyu understand that, in this case, he could get another house. Thinking of this, Suyu quickly lined up with Uncle Zhang. Soon, we arrived at Suyu. A night watchman held the computer and asked while typing, "Name. ID number." "Suyu, the ID number is." Suyu reported it very smoothly. The night watchman suddenly raised his head, put down his computer, and asked with some surprise, "Are you the night watchman?" "Well, trainee night watchman." Suyu nodded. "There are a lot of damage to residential buildings this time, and there is a shortage of houses for compensation. We need to give priority to ordinary people." The night watchman opposite stared at Suyu and said, "Since you are the night watchman, you should put the people first. Your house, I'll pay for it later." When Suyu heard this, he couldn't help but give the night watchman a thumbs up. "This is the night watch. I'm fine, I just came over to take a look. Okay, I'm leaving now," Suyu said with a smile. Under the gaze of everyone, Suyu entered the ruined community and went straight to the residential building where he lived to see if he could dig out anything. Xiaoyu is a night watchman. After Suyu left, everyone realized what happened, and Uncle Zhang said in shock, "Yes, this Suyu is stronger than me." The night watchman in charge of statistics glanced at the computer interface and was very envious. Suyu is only 18 years old and is a warrior rank 2. As long as he doesn't die young, his future will be bright. The treasure map gives everyone a fair chance. But there are also differences. Break the shackles, start genetic evolution, and the younger you become a warrior, the greater your future achievements will naturally be. Therefore, once a young man breaks the shackles, he is immediately taken away by the night watch and focused on training. In the distance, Suyu couldn't help but shook his head after hearing it and didn't care. After a while, Suyu found the building where he lived. At present, it had become a dangerous building and was almost in ruins. Ordinary people did not dare to enter it. But Suyu was different. The strength of the warrior rank 2 gave him a lot of confidence and he walked up the stairs step by step. When you open the door and enter the home, you will find that the entire floor is sloping and the home appliances are severely damaged. Suyu didn't feel bad. He found a photo album in a drawer and went back to the house to take away his computer. "Xiaoyu, why don't you come to my house for a meal?" Suyu had just walked out of the dangerous building when he heard someone speaking. "Aunt Wang," Suyu said with a smile, "forget about eating, I have other things to do, so I'll leave first." Aunt Wang smiled awkwardly and said no more. "Xiaoyu, why don't you come to my house? Xiaoru has been talking about you," someone else said with a smile, and there was obviously something to please in his smile. The Xiaoru she mentioned was from the same school as Suyu. Because they lived in the same community, their relationship was somewhat ambiguous in the past. But later, Suyu became an orphan, and Xiaoru's parents told Xiaoru not to associate with Suyu anymore. Before transmigrate, after transmigrate, 3 years ago, it was all the same. The difference is only in these 3 years. Suyu is naturally very clear about these memories. After all, even his parents are the same, so there is no reason for anything else to be different. No, Aunt Zhang. Now that the house is gone, where can we go to eat?" Suyu smiled, not wanting to offend anyone, and said with a smile, "Uncles and aunties, goodbye." In place, some neighbors were left looking at each other. As soon as Suyu left, a girl with twin ponytails came over and asked anxiously, Dad, Mom, where is Su Yu? Alas, Su Yu is gone. Looking at it like this, I'm afraid you and Su Yu are not destined to be together. Xiaoru's mother sighed. It's all your fault. Su Yu and I were having a good time at that time. You insisted on telling me not to associate with Su Yu. You said that Su Yu was an orphan and you wanted us to help him. Xiaoru started to cry. Su Yu, who had just walked out of the community, paused slightly when he heard this, and a trace of reminiscence flashed in his eyes. But soon, this look of reminiscence disappeared and was replaced by determination. Room 808, Building E, Night Watchman Family Building. Su Yu opened the door, walked in, put down his things, and then looked at it carefully. They are all brand new. Su Yu looked at the new house for a while and couldn't help but said, the night watchman is really rich. The 200 square meter flat floor, in addition to the bedroom, is also equipped with a gym. Boom, boom, boom. There was a knock on the door. Su Yu was confused, opened the door, and found that it was Lindsay standing outside the door. Sister Lin, why are you here? Su Yu said unexpectedly. I got off work and came home for dinner, so I came here to have a look. By the way, I live next door to you. Lindsay pointed to the 807 next to her, and then invited Su Yu. You haven't eaten yet, have you? Come and eat together. Is this convenient? Su Yu was really hungry and said after hesitation. What's the inconvenience? Lindsay patted Su Yu's shoulder and said, I'm the only one at home. If you can come, it will be more lively. Okay. Su Yu closed the door and followed Lindsay to 807. 807 and 808 are the same, both are large flat floors with an area of 200 square meters. The difference is that 807 is more pink and is obviously for girls. You sit down first and read this book. It's more suitable for you now. Lindsay took a book from the bookshelf and threw it directly to Su Yu. Warrior Rank 9, From Beginner to Proficient. Su Yu looked at the cover and felt a strong sense of familiarity. Yes, you have just broken the shackles. You are still confused after thinking about it. This book is just suitable for you. Lindsay said, already putting on an apron, and said, read it slowly first, sister will go cook. You are lucky, I seldom cook, you must eat to your heart's content this time. Lindsay had just taken 2 steps when she suddenly turned around and said, by the way, there is a big black dog in my house. Don't mess with it. At this moment, Su Yu saw a big black dog more than 1 meter tall walking out. The big black dog just glanced at Su Yu lightly, which made Su Yu's heart tighten, as if he was facing a dead dragon. But this feeling was so fleeting that Su Yu even wondered if he was delusional. Sister Lin, I remember that someone dug up a treasure map and unearthed a big black dog. It is said to be the roaring dog in myths and legends. Could it be it? Su Yu transmigrated here and read a lot through the internet, information. How is that possible? Sister Lin smiled. If I could dig out the roaring sky dog, I would no longer be in Tianhe City. Even if I were still in Tianhe City, I would definitely be the head of the Night Watch branch. Furthermore, according to records, the roaring sky dog in myths and legends is shaped like a white elephant, so it should be a big white dog. Mine is a big black dog, which is completely different. Lindsay added. That's true. Su Yu didn't doubt it, but agreed very much. That is to say, the aura of the big black dog was too strong, which made him feel that he had an illusion just now, so he asked this question. Okay, you read a book first, sister is going to cook. Lindsay entered the kitchen. Su Yu opened Warrior Rank 9, From Beginner to Master, and read it with great interest. This is related to his own strength, or even more seriously, it is related to his life, so Su Yu looks more serious than when he was in school. So that's it. Su Yu looked at it for a while, then suddenly slapped the table and said, there are 9 shackles in the human body. They restrict humans, but they are also the creation of humans. If the shackles are broken, genetic evolution can be started and one can become a warrior. 1 shackle is rank 1. If you can break 9 shackles, you will be a warrior rank 9. The information on the internet is vague. Even if Su Yu checked some information, it is not as clear as what is in this book. Nonsense. Back then, someone cursed the human race, and that's why there were 9 shackles. Think back then, everyone in the human race was born with Taoism, so why were there shackles? Suddenly, Su Yu heard someone talking to him. Who is talking to me? Su Yu was startled and glanced around. Lindsay was still busy in the kitchen. Apart from that, there was no one else around. Moreover, listening to the voice, it was obviously not Lindsay. It's not you who is talking to me, is it? Su Yu's eyes fell on the big black dog lying opposite him at some point, and he asked. Big black dog, if you can talk, just say something and let me listen. Or, can you just nod? Su Yu stared at the big black dog and said expectantly. However, Su Yu was disappointed. The big black dog just lay on the opposite side, staring at him without making any movement. It's just my imagination. How can a dog talk? Su Yu shook his head, couldn't help but smile to himself, and muttered, is it possible that there is an old man hiding in my mind? After a pause, Su Yu muttered to himself, Grandpa, are you there? Are you there? After waiting for a long time, there was no movement at all. Su Yu was completely disappointed and began to suspect that he was hearing hallucinations. After thinking about it, Su Yu picked up Warrior Rank 9, from beginner to master, and read it with interest again. This time, Su Yu paid a little more attention. After seeing the content that suddenly made him realize, he couldn't help but read it. At the same time, he raised his ears and listened carefully to see what was going on. But until Lindsay finished cooking, the sound never appeared again. Su Yu, how about trying sister's craftsmanship? Lindsay said with great anticipation. So, delicious. Su Yu put a piece of meat into his mouth and said vaguely. It tastes really bad. However, after 5,000 years of training, he would never say it. It's delicious, then you should eat more. Lindsay was very happy and took several pieces of meat to Su Yu. She said happily, you are the first one to praise my delicious cooking. Su Yu nodded, gritted his teeth, and with tears in his eyes, ate the plate cleanly one bite at a time. After eating, Lindsay's expression perked up and she said to Su Yu, take this book back and read it. But remember, you will return it to me later. Also, please do not show this book to ordinary people. Lindsay warned. Su Yu couldn't help but wonder. Lindsay explained. Ordinary people don't have enough opportunities, so it's useless to see it. Moreover, it can easily cause troubles. Su Yu nodded thoughtfully, stood up and said, Sister Lin, I remember, then I will go back first. Go back and read for a while, he still wants to dig out the treasure map. Time is very tight. After Su Yu left, Lindsay turned to look at the big black dog and asked, did you talk to him? The big black dog turned its head arrogantly, with a deep gaze, and said in human words, no. I heard it all. Lindsay was very dissatisfied and said, there is no one else in this room except me. You didn't say it, could it be a ghost? There's something wrong with this person. After a moment of silence, the big black dog said solemnly. Something's not right. Lindsay's expression suddenly changed, he slapped the table and stood up, saying, you mean, he is not him anymore. If someone digs up the treasure map, he will also dig out some evil spirits, and then he will be taken away by the evil spirits. This kind of thing is very common. That's not the case. The big black dog turned around, shook his head, and said, I sense the aura of the ancestral star on his body. Ancestral star. Lindsay couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when she heard this, but she became confused about ancestral star. She asked, what is that place? Little girl, you are too young. It is normal that you don't know. Besides, there is no need for you to know about this matter. The big black dog turned around and walked towards the balcony. As he walked, he said, my strength is still there. He has not recovered and is very weak now. Take good care of that boy for me, maybe he will give me a surprise. After saying that, the big black dog lay on the balcony and lazily basked in the sun. You don't need to tell me, I will take good care of him. He is mine now, Lindsay said. Room 808. Su Yu came back and continued to read the book. Half an hour later, he dropped the book and hurried out the door. There are still 2 treasure maps that must be dug out first. The appearance of the dragon gave him a strong sense of crisis, urging him to quickly improve his strength. Yesterday there was a giant dragon. Tomorrow, there might be 100,000 giant dragons. At that time, it will really be the end of the world. Improve your strength, and when the time comes, even if you can't beat him, you can at least run away. Half an hour later, Su Yu arrived at his destination. Then, he took out the treasure map and looked at it intently. Immediately, golden writing appeared. There is an incomplete dog-headed guillotine sealed here. For you, it does not pose any danger. Dog-headed guillotine. Su Yu was stunned. In his memory, from ancient times to the present, there has been only one dog-headed guillotine. It doesn't matter, as long as it's harmless to me, I'll just dig it up. Su Yu was excited and used the treasure map directly without hesitation. A space emerged, and a dog-headed guillotine stood quietly inside. Su Yu stretched out his hand, and the dog's head guillotine seemed to sense something, and it immediately began to tremble. The next moment, endless glow suddenly reflected the heaven and earth, and the entire Tianhe city was shaking. Countless people looked up and saw a dog-headed guillotine stretching across the sky, releasing supreme power. The next moment, the sky turned dark, a crescent moon appeared, and a sound spread in all directions, like a loud bell, hitting the ground. Here comes someone. Wait with a dog-headed guillotine. Open the guillotine. In the night watch branch, a figure looked at this scene in astonishment. Someone actually dug out a dog-headed guillotine. But in the myth, it seems that he doesn't exist. He frowned, his figure flickered, and in an instant he crossed the endless distance and appeared directly beside Su Yu. It's really a dog-headed guillotine. The visitor's eyes lit up, staring at the dog-headed guillotine that had shrunk and fell into Su Yu's palm. Are you Su Yu? The visitor looked at Su Yu and asked in surprise. Who are you? Su Yu was very surprised. He didn't know the visitor, but the visitor knew him, which made him very wary. Li Xiao, director of the Tianhe branch of the Night Watch. The visitor said with a smile, and at the same time, he also showed his ID. Su Yu took a closer look and felt that the other party should be real. I've met the minister, Su Yu said quickly. Yes, Li Xiao nodded and said with some relief, I have read your information. Some luck and some opportunities have made you not only a warrior rank 2, but now, you even got a dog-headed guillotine. After we go back, we will study it carefully to see what effect this dog-headed guillotine has. Okay, Su Yu nodded. Leave. Li Xiao's figure disappeared in an instant. Su Yu didn't even see clearly, it was gone in an instant, and he couldn't help but be secretly shocked. How strong is this minister Li Xiao? At this moment, his phone vibrated. Su Yu subconsciously took it out and saw that there was a message pushed. What can be pushed must be hot spots. Su Yu is very concerned about it, so he quickly clicks on it and starts reading. Congratulations to the human race. Congratulations to Daxia. Citizen Su used the treasure map to dig out the dog-headed guillotine. Am I in the news? This is the first time in my life. Su Yu was startled, but he immediately realized, no, I did it once before after I dug out the vermilion bird fruit, but that time the feeling is not as strong as this time. After a while, Su Yu calmed down, I just don't know what the guillotine does. At that moment, Su Yu carefully felt the dog-headed guillotine. A dog-headed guillotine, a bad guy who specializes in oppressing people. Su Yu frowned slightly, feeling like he was very powerful. He really wanted to try it, but he couldn't find the target. You can't hit passers-by A, B, C, and D, right? That's all, let's talk about it when we have a chance. Su Yu shook his head, and with a thought in his heart, the dog-head guillotine in his palm disappeared immediately. Suddenly, the phone vibrated again, and several messages were pushed in succession. Citizen Lei released 99 zombies after using the treasure map. The situation is now under control. Su Yu thought for a while and felt that this Lei was probably the bald Captain Lei gang of the Night Watch. This should be released by the treasure map that dug me up. The situation is under control, that's good. Su Yu felt relieved and continued to click on the next push message. Citizen Zhang dug up a mythical beast cub after using the treasure map. There is currently a fierce battle. A mythical beast cub. Su Yu was stunned. Unfortunately, the news did not say what kind of mythical beast it was. Suddenly, the night watchman's watch vibrated. Su Yu lowered his head and saw that someone had sent out a cry for help, about 7 or 8 kilometers away from here. The phone rang. Lin Zi called, and she said on the phone, come here immediately, you are too weak, don't get close, just watch from a distance. This time I dug up a mythical beast cub, which will give you a lot of experience. The phone was hung up. But Su Yu couldn't help but hesitate. He is 18 years old now, but in his previous life, he was not 18 years old, and he was already past the age of passion. So, do you want to go there? That is the cub of a mythical beast, and it is still in a fierce battle. What if it dies after passing through? But after only 2 or 3 seconds of hesitation, Su Yu made a decision, strode quickly to his destination. Before the person arrived, Su Yu felt what the divine beast was. A vermilion bird covered the sky and the earth, and half of the sky burned. Su Yu felt that his body was hot inside and out, as if it was going to burn at any time. This is still a cub of a mythical beast. Wouldn't it be more terrifying if it were an adult beast? Su Yu had no doubt that if the mythical beast really came of age, the entire blue star would burn. You came. Lin Zi appeared next to Su Yu, lifted Su Yu up into the air, and soon appeared on the rooftop of a building. It's better to stand here to see more clearly. Lin Zi said, you have just joined the night watch and have no experience at all. Now, it's time to take a look. Yes. Su Yu nodded and asked in surprise, Sister Lin, aren't you going to help? The minister is here, so there is no need for me to take action. Lin Zi shook his head, pointed at the 2 people who were fighting the vermilion bird cub, and said, those 2 people, one is Li Xiao, the minister of our night watch branch, he just came back this morning. The other person is Captain Zhang who dug up the vermilion bird cub. Lin Zi was introducing, when Su Yu suddenly said, Captain Zhang, it's burning. Sure enough, Captain Zhang, who was fighting the vermilion bird cub, was completely ignited by the flames spouted by the vermilion bird cub, and his whole body turned into a man of fire. Soon, the whole village would have a feast. Fortunately, Captain Zhang was not easy either. The flames were quickly extinguished. However, his face turned black and smoke was coming from his orifices, which made him look miserable. Lin Zi's whole body tensed together, as if she was going to take action at any time. She said to Su Yu, if I take action later, you should step back immediately. This vermilion bird cub is not simple, and it is ridiculously strong. Quote, do you want me to join the war? Su Yu asked. No need, I'm calling you here just to give you experience, not to join the battle. You are too weak, you won't be able to hold on for even 1 second. You will definitely die, Lin Zi said. Su Yu felt that he was being looked down upon, but he was relieved. It's not easy to change your mentality when it suddenly transmigrate. It still takes time to adapt. Suddenly, Su Yu saw that Minister Li Xiao was swallowed directly by the vermilion bird cub, and his heart suddenly tightened. Evil beast, seeking death. Lin Zi was furious and shot out. Su Yu saw a set of purple armor emerge and put on Lin Zi's body. At this moment, Lin Zi's whole body was covered with purple light, and even her hair seemed to be dyed purple. A purple spear fell into Lin Zi's hand, and with a pop, the spear thrust out, intending to kill the vermilion bird cub in the air. Bang! The spear pierced the body of the vermilion bird cub, and it actually made a clanging sound, which showed how terrifying the vermilion bird cub was. Fortunately, because of Lin Zi's appearance, the pressure on the vermilion bird cubs doubled, and for a while, they were unable to digest Minister Li Xiao quickly. Li Xiao was bathed in divine fire and killed the vermilion bird cub from its mouth. He looked a little embarrassed, but fortunately, his life was safe. I am coming. Suddenly, a bald man holding a hammer fell from the sky, along with thunder and lightning. That was Captain Lei Gang of the Night Watch, who had just bought 2 treasure maps from Su Yu this morning. At the moment, Captain Lei is like a god of thunder, descending with endless thunder prisons and drowning the vermilion bird cub in an instant. But in the next moment, Captain Lei vomited blood and flew backwards. The vermilion bird cub was covered in bruises and bruises. However, its momentum increased instead of falling. It seemed that it was becoming more courageous with each fight, which made everyone look pale and breathless. Seeing this scene, Su Yu couldn't help but feel his heart pounding. Wouldn't this mean he couldn't beat him? Even if I can win, I'm afraid I'll still lose miserably. By then, who knows how many casualties the aftermath of the battle will cause. Su Yu had already seen that the nearby buildings were burning. Because there was fighting here, there was no way to put out the fire. If this continues, the casualties and property losses among citizens will be unbearable for mankind. I am a warrior rank 2, why should I worry about this? Su Yu turned around and ran, but as soon as he took 2 steps, he heard Minister Li Xiao's voice. All night watchmen, mobilized to fight to the death. Obviously, Li Xiao also saw that with the strength of the 4 of them, it was impossible to kill the vermilion bird cub, and they could only rely on the human sea tactic. Whoever kills the vermilion bird cub will be rewarded with 10 treasure maps. Li Xiao's voice echoed out again, resounding throughout the city. Su Yu immediately turned around and saw Lin Zi's purple armor being torn apart by the vermilion bird cub's claws. He immediately gritted his teeth and roared, "Beast! Even if I, Su Yu, rank 2, I am not afraid of a battle. I will fight with you." Su Yu's heart moved, and when he was about to call out the Taoist fragments and exert 1/1000th of his strength to kill the vermilion bird cub, he heard a buzz sound, and the dog-headed guillotine appeared in front of him. "Can you kill it?" Su Yufu reached his heart and understood immediately. Immediately, the method of using the dog-headed guillotine flooded into Su Yu's mind. Su Yu understood how to use it, but his expression was a little weird. Is this too shameful?" Su Yu muttered, feeling very confused. In midair, Lin Zi fought bloody battles, and her purple armor had cracked, revealing a large expanse of snow underneath. Seeing this scene, Su Yu stopped worrying and shouted, "Everyone, get out of the way and let me do it." Li Xiao, Lin Zi and others suddenly turned around and looked at Su Yu with some surprise. However, before they could speak, they heard Su Yu shout loudly and resoundingly, "Here you come, wait for me with a dog-headed guillotine." Under everyone's shocked eyes, the dog-headed guillotine in front of Su Yu instantly shot out of the air, magnified 100,000 times, and appeared in front of the vermilion bird cub. The next moment, 4 illusory tall figures appeared, and 2 figures went straight towards the vermilion bird cub. One by one, they suppressed the extremely powerful vermilion bird cub and dragged it towards the guillotine. One person placed a huge basin in front of the guillotine, and another person raised the guillotine of the guillotine. The vermilion bird cub struggled desperately, but to no avail. It was firmly pressed against the dog's head. "Open the guillotine!" Su Yu's loud, ringing voice echoed out and spread in all directions. The vermilion bird cub is shocked, desperate, and frightened. "Don't want, sir, spare my life, I am willing to submit to the human race and serve the human race." Vaguely, it saw a black face, as if there was a crescent moon. Poof! Cut it off with the guillotine. The head of the vermilion bird cub rolled down, staining the sky with blood. Everyone looked at Su Yu with blank expressions. Is this Su Yu from Warrior Rank 2? Chapter 11. Vermilion Bird, that's a mythical beast. Even if he is just a cub, he is still powerful and terrifying. It is no exaggeration to say that when Li Xiao shouted, "Watchmen fight to the death," he was already prepared for Tianhe City to flow into rivers of blood and countless people to be displaced. As a result, Su Yu solved it immediately. Li Xiao was the first to come to his senses, pressed the Secret Service earpiece, and then said, "Colleagues, there is no need for support, the vermilion bird cub has been killed. If there is an emergency, the Night Watch will ask for support, and the Night Watch branches near Tianhe City will send strong men to support." Li Xiao had already done this, but now that the vermilion bird cub had been dealt with, there was no need for support. "Li Xiao, what's going on? Didn't you say that the vermilion bird cub is so powerful that you can't solve it?" Someone asked doubtfully in the headset. "I still have something to be busy with now. I'll talk about this later. Colleagues, please read the report then." Li Xiao hurriedly pulled off the special service earphones, appeared in front of Su Yu, and asked with concern, "How do you feel now?" "A bit weak, most of the strength in the body has been consumed." Su Yu sensed it carefully and spoke slowly. "In fact, it's not that exaggerated, it only consumes about half of the power. Compared with Taoist fragments, the consumption is obviously much less. If the dog-headed guillotine really couldn't handle it, at least he would still have the energy to run away. If he couldn't handle the Taoist fragments, he would have no choice but to wait for death." "That's good." Li Xiao nodded and patted Su Yu on the shoulder. "Su Yu, you have done a good job this time. 10 treasure maps will be in your hands tomorrow at the latest." "Thank you, Minister," Su Yu said happily. "This wave is not a loss. It is possible to earn 10 treasure maps worth at least 2 million, and if you dig out a treasure worth tens of millions." Li Xiao turned around and said to Lin Zi, "Lin Zi, Su Yu is your man. You take Su Yu for a checkup to avoid some unknown hidden dangers caused by using the guillotine for the first time. Okay. Lindsay didn't know when she had appeared beside Li Xiao. After hearing the words, she carried Su Yu and walked away quickly. On the way, Lindsay's purple armor quietly dissipated, revealing her majestic and generous mind. Su Yu was so close that he swallowed subconsciously. Soon, we arrived at the night watch branch, and then entered the infirmary. Su Yu was lying on the hospital bed, undergoing various examinations. Half an hour later, the doctor in the infirmary said, "Captain Lin, Su Yu is very healthy and has a much longer life than the rank 2 warrior. You can rest assured." When Lindsay heard this, she breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing that Su Yu seemed a little confused, she took the initiative and said, "Su Yu, don't feel troublesome. Someone has used the excavated treasures before, and as a result, a big wound appeared on his body. Problem. It's good that nothing happens to you." Su Yu nodded and then remembered that there were reports about this on the internet. For example, some treasures will make their owner 10 years older when used. There are also overdraft potential ones, soul-burning ones, and so on. After leaving the infirmary, Lindsay couldn't help but said to Su Yu, "I really envy you. With the guillotine, you are stronger than me." Su Yu pouted, "Whoever believes this is stupid. The dog-headed guillotine is indeed very strong, but after all it is only an external force, and with his current strength, he can only use the dog-headed guillotine twice." Moreover, whether it was Lindsay, Li Xiao or others, he did not believe that they really only had this ability. There must still be something at the bottom of the box. However, they won't use it unless absolutely necessary. "Sister Lin, can I leave now?" Su Yu said with a smile. He was very anxious, there was still a treasure map that he had not dug yet. He is full of expectations for this. If there is danger, he will sell it immediately and then buy a new one. It's simply not that exciting. "You can go." Lindsay nodded, indicating that Su Yu could leave. After leaving the night watch branch, Su Yu's phone vibrated. He took it out and saw another message push. "Congratulations to the human race. Congratulations to Daxia." Night watchman Su used a dog-headed guillotine to instantly kill the cub of the mythical beast vermilion bird. When Su Yu saw this, he couldn't help but smile. "Aren't you talking about me?" A cavity of hot blood flows in the body, as if it is about to burst out and drown the person. Su Yu tried to calm down and secretly told himself, "I can't be so passionate next time. I'm still young and I still have a lot of time to live. I can't just die like this." Hot blood is hot blood, but fear is also real fear. What if the dog-headed guillotine cannot defeat the vermilion bird cub? Su Yu told himself not to get carried away, otherwise he would suffer disaster sooner or later. "I went out and took a taxi online. 20 minutes later, I arrived 10 kilometers away." Su Yu got out of the car and started walking. After a while, he came to a ruins. "Oh, it's in ruins again. This world is really too dangerous." Su Yu sighed, took out the only remaining treasure map, determined the target location, and looked at it intently. "There is a pair of underwear sealed here. If you put it on outside your pants, your strength will be improved to a certain extent. If you put it on your head, your strength will be greatly improved." Su Yu. 6. Then, Su Yu became entangled, whether to dig or not. After struggling for a long time, Su Yu finally had an idea. Without digging, this treasure map can only be sold for 200,000. But if you dig it out, even if you don't use it, selling it will cost you much more than 200,000. Dig. Su Yu gritted his teeth and immediately used the treasure map. Soon, a space appeared with a pair of underwear hanging inside. The underwear looked very new, as if it had just left the factory, but Su Yu didn't think so, and felt uncomfortable just looking at it. Even so, Su Yu still stretched out his hand. The underwear flew out and fell into Su Yu's palm. Immediately, Su Yu understood that these underwear were not simple. After wearing them, they could indeed improve their strength. After careful sensing, it can increase the user's strength by about 10%. If it is put on the head, it can increase the strength by 20%. Of course, there is no unlimited improvement, but there is an upper limit. The highest support for the promotion of the War King. If it exceeds the King of War, the improvement of underwear will have almost no effect, and it will be of little significance. After warrior rank 9, you will be the king of war. War king is also divided into rank 9. If it can be increased by 10%, or even 20%, for war king, it will be the same as divine weapon. My warrior rank 2's cultivation level, even if increased by 20%, is still a warrior rank 2, which is as strong as a warrior rank 3. This thing, to me, is useless. Su Yu commented, so, it's better to sell this thing. Yes, sell it. But, how much should I sell this thing for? Su Yu didn't have much idea about this aspect, so he couldn't help but hesitate. How about I go find Sister Lin and ask? Before going to Lindsay, Su Yu checked online. Not to mention, there are actually reports on this on the internet. But after reading it, Su Yu was even more confused. The prices reported online were all different. The cheapest ones ranged from hundreds of thousands to the expensive ones ranging from tens of millions. So, I still don't know how much this thing is worth. Su Yu shook his head and did not check again. He took a taxi online and went directly to the night watch branch. At this moment, Lindsay must be working at the night watch. Su Yu, why are you back? Lindsay looked at Su Yu in surprise at the night watch branch. It's been almost an hour since Su Yu left until now. What did Su Yu do when he came back? Don't you want to go to work? Lindsay thought secretly. Sister Lin, can you find a place where no one is around? Su Yu glanced around. There were many people coming and going from the night watchman branch. He was too embarrassed to take out his underwear in public. Okay, then come with me. Lindsay took a deep look, turned around and left. This is my office. There is no one here, and the sound insulation is very good. If you have anything to say, just say it. In an office, Lindsay looked at Su Yu and said with a smile. Su Yu subconsciously glanced left and right, then came to the door and looked outside, and found that there was no one outside. Then he came back, took out his underwear, and said to Lindsay, Sister Lin, I dug out. Boom. Before Su Yu could finish his words, he saw a slender white thigh lifted up and kicked him hard. Grass. Su Yu cursed loudly, and his figure flew out and landed outside the door. Everyone in the corridor stopped what they were doing and looked over. Which newcomer is this? Has he offended Captain Lin? I remember that Captain Lei seemed to have been treated like this by Captain Lin before. Not to mention Captain Lin, Captain Zhang was also beaten. And our minister, I don't know what happened, Captain Lin also kicked him out of the office. Everyone was chattering, and Su Yu's face turned red instantly at your words or my words. He covered his crotch and re-entered Lindsay's office. After closing the door, he saw Lindsay folding her hands on her chest, very guarded. Su Yu, you are mine, how dare you act like a hooligan to me? Lindsay's face was filled with frost, making people afraid to approach. Sister Lin, can you listen to my quibbles? Oh, no, can you listen to me first? Su Yu covered his crotch, his face twisted together, very ugly. Obviously, the kick just now was really not light. Wait a minute. Lindsay took a deep look at Su Yu, walked out of the office, and everyone outside dispersed. Lindsay then came back, sat down with her arms folded, and said to Su Yu, tell me. Oh, that's it. When I left the branch, I dug up a treasure map. Then, I dug out a pair of underwear that is very suitable for the King of War. Su Yu quickly explained. You know, I am only a warrior rank 2 now, and my strength is too weak. This thing can increase the user's strength by up to 20%. I think it is of little significance to me. So, I want sold, but I don't know the price, so I'll ask Sister Lin first. Huh. Lindsay suddenly changed her color, then stood up with a smile on her face and helped Su Yu sit down. Didn't you tell me earlier? See how big the misunderstanding is now. Su Yu, don't you blame Sister Lin. No. Su Yu shook his head. If you can't win again and again, what else can you do? Can it really increase the user's strength by 20%? Lindsay was more concerned about this, so she quickly asked. If it is worn outside the pants, it can be improved by 10%. If it is worn on the head, it can be improved by 20%. Su Yu replied. 20%, the improvement is really quite a lot. If it is useful against the King of War, it will be a very good treasure. Lindsay nodded, and then took the initiative to take the underwear and sense it carefully. After a while, She dropped her underwear and said to Su Yu, "It's really true. It's a pity. It's not suitable for me. Otherwise, I would have ordered this thing." Lindsay shook her head, feeling very sorry. Then, she asked, "Su Yu, how much are you going to sell it for?" "I don't know, that's why I came to ask Sister Lin." Su Yu said aggrievedly. He didn't get anything. As a result, he was kicked by Lindsay first. He was really wronged. "Oh," Lindsay thought for a moment and said, "if this thing of yours is not underwear but something else, it could sell for at least 5 to 6 million. But, Lindsay couldn't help but laugh. "The way to use this thing is really shameful, so don't think about 5 or 6 million, it would be great if you can sell it for 1 or 2 million. 1 or 2 million. Su Yu was not disappointed when he heard this. This was much better than he expected. Moreover, wouldn't 1 or 2 million be able to buy more treasure maps? At that time, once you dig out good things, you can sell them even if you don't use them. You will definitely make money with tears and blood, and you will definitely make money without losing money." After thinking about it, Su Yu suddenly asked, "Sister Lin, how much can I sell my dog-headed guillotine for?" "Dog-head guillotine?" Sister Lin smiled and replied, "It can sell for almost 100 million. Su Yu was shocked and took a breath of cold air. The office couldn't help but become hot and hot. "Are you selling it? If you are selling it, I will find a way to give you 100 million right now." Sister Lin asked. "Not for sale." Su Yu shook his head. "I think so." Lindsay was just envious, but not greedy. She thought about it and said, "Since you want to sell that pair of underwear, Sister Lin will help you. Wait a minute, and I'll call Captain Lei over." Lindsay made a phone call. After a while, Bald Lei just pushed open the door and walked in. As soon as he came in, he saw Su Yu, and then he couldn't help but said proudly, "Isn't there another treasure map for sale? 250,000 pieces. I want as much as I want." Su Yu swallowed his saliva. Captain Lei was really rich. He had 250,000 yuan per ticket. He asked for as much as he wanted. "Listen, is this something a person can say?" "Captain Lei, you are wrong. There is no treasure map this time." Lindsay spoke first and said with a smile, "But, there is something else." "What?" Bald Lei just became interested and asked. "A treasure can increase the strength of the War King by 10% or 20%. Do you want it?" Lindsay asked. Seriously. At this moment, the bald Ligang's eyes were shining brightly, as if a divine light was gushing out. But soon, his eyes converged and he asked doubtfully, "You won't keep such a good thing for yourself, use it, but sell it to me." "I don't believe it." "He's not stupid either. Lindsay is also a war king, and his strength is more terrifying than him. If there is such a treasure, Lindsay will never sell it to him. This thing is not suitable for me. Otherwise, can I sell it to you?" Lindsay looked at Su Yu. Su Yu understood and immediately handed over the dug-out underwear. The Bald Lei gang hesitated for a moment, but seeing the serious looks on Lindsay and Su Yu's faces, he slowly stretched out his hand, took the underwear, and felt it carefully. After a moment, Lei Gang asked with bright eyes, "I want this." "Captain Lin, how much do you want it for?" Although the method of using this thing makes people feel a little shameful, it can really increase your strength by 20%. Bald Lei Gang hesitated for less than a second and immediately asked about the price. 5 million. Lin Zishi opened his mouth wide, so frightened that Su Yu next to him was stunned. It was agreed that it could only be sold for 1 or 2 million, but in the end, you asked for 5 million. Bald Lei Gang twitched the corner of his mouth, threw down his underwear, and cursed, "Lindsay, do you really think I'm stupid? This thing, if it were anything else, would be worth 5 million. But it's not worth it. If I put it on my head, I'll be the laughingstock of people. So, tell me, how much does it cost?" Although Bald Lei Gang was scolding, he didn't leave, making it clear that he actually wanted it. Su Yu could see it, and naturally so did Lindsay. Moreover, the reason why she called Lei Gang was because she was sure that Lei Gang would not refuse. It was only 5 million, just to test it out. What if Lei Gang was willing to pay 5 million? Now, seeing that the plan failed, Lindsay smiled and said, "You and I have been colleagues for many years, how can we really sell you 5 million? Lindsay pretended to think for a moment, and then she said, "Let's do it, discount it in half, and sell it to you for 2.5 million. Captain Lin, are you just going around the corner and scolding me? Lei Gang touched his bald head, which was shiny, and said, how about we have a fight and then negotiate the price? Then how much do you give? Lin Zi frowned slightly. 1.5 million. Lei Gang said. Go grab 1.5 million. Lin Zi shook his head. 1.8 million, no more. If you want to sell it, just sell it. If you don't want to sell it, forget it. Lei Gang was resolute. He said, you know, I am not short of money. I would rather spend 5 million to buy other treasures. At least no one will laugh at me. This. Lin Zi seemed to hesitate. After a while, she said impatiently, that's all, this is you Lei Gang. If it were anyone else, I wouldn't even talk about it if it was less than 2 million, of. Lei Gang quickly picked up his underwear, turned to look at Su Yu, and asked, did you dig this thing out? Su Yu was silent. Su Yu dug it out. What do you want to do? Lin Zi looked wary. Su Yu, why don't you come to my place and I'll take you to kill people? Lei Gang grinned and said, for example, if you follow me for these underwear, I'll just take them for 3 million, and you'll earn 1.2 million more. Doesn't it smell good? Lei Gang, you've had enough. You dare to poach me. Do you want to be beaten again? Lin Zi came over and hugged Su Yu into her arms. She said to Su Yu, don't listen to him. Nonsense, they are all gentlemen, they stink all day long. If you follow Lei Gang, sooner or later you will become like them. But it's different when you follow me. My sister can protect you and make you smell good all over. I can also introduce you to someone in the future. Su Yu struggled to leave Wei An's mind, but Lin Zi's strength was too great for him to break free. In the end, Su Yu had no choice but to give up. Humph. Lei Gang took one look, snorted softly, and stopped trying to persuade him. When he was about to go out, he turned around and said to Su Yu in a friendly manner, Su Yu, you are welcome to come here at any time. Quote. After Lei Gang left, Su Yu was let go, and he couldn't help but gasp for air. Just now, it was soft, but it really almost made me suffocate. Su Yu, you're not really going to Lei Gang's place, are you? Lin Zi asked worriedly. If you don't want to go, don't go. Su Yu immediately shook his head. Lei Gang's words sounded very tempting, but if he really wanted to go, it would only be 1 or 2 times. How could he give him more money every time? Do you really think Lei Gang was taken advantage of? Everything must comply with market rules. Otherwise, there must be a demon. That's pretty much it. Lin Zi tugged at Su Yu's face, very happy. Ding dong. Su Yu's cell phone rang. He took it out and saw that 1.8 million had been received. Now, he has 1.9 million in cash on his mobile phone. Sister Lin, I'm sorry to trouble you this time. It's just my opinion, Su Yu said while operating the phone quickly. Ding dong. Lin Zi's cell phone rang. She picked it up and saw that 300,000 was credited. Transfer person, Su Yu. What are you doing? Lin Zi was very dissatisfied. I just sold your underwear. As for giving me a benefit. Besides, can I still give you this little money? While saying this, Lin Zi was about to transfer the money back, but was stopped by Su Yu. Sister Lin, you must accept this money, otherwise I won't be able to trouble you again in the future. Su Yu persuaded. This. Lin Zi hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded helplessly, I won't do this next time. Okay. Su Yu nodded in agreement. Subtracting the 300,000 yuan, a pair of underwear can be sold for 1.5 million yuan. In fact, the cost is only 200,000 yuan, and the one-way taxi fare is completely negligible, making a guaranteed profit of 1.3 million yuan. It's simply not that exciting. Sister Lin, I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. Su Yu said. Okay. Lin Zi nodded, and then warned, read the book I gave you carefully. In 2 days, you will have to come here to work. Of course, you can also come directly to the branch to read. There is a library here with a lot of books. Okay, I understand. Su Yu nodded, then said goodbye and left. After Su Yu left, Lin Zi couldn't help showing a satisfied smile. You're very sensible, and you know how to give me benefits. It's hard to imagine that Su Yu is only 18 years old. City First People's Hospital, Ward No. 666. Su Yu came again. carrying a box of milk, a box of Nutrition Express, and a box of fruit. After putting them all down, he looked at the fat man on the hospital bed and asked with concern, "How are you? Feel better? Are you done yet?" The fat man looked at Su Yu with some horror and asked, "What are you doing here? You are hospitalized. As a friend, I came to see you." Su Yu was a little confused. Then why are you here again?" Fatty said, still a little frightened. "Come again?" Su Yu asked doubtfully. "You just came here this morning, and the day hasn't passed yet. Now you suddenly come again. It's hard not to make me think that you have other thoughts." The fat man was still frightened. When Su Yu heard this, he thought about it carefully, and then he remembered that the last time he came to see Fatty was really this morning. However, there were too many things that happened today, which made Su Yu feel as if several days had passed. For a moment, Su Yu felt a little dazed. After a while, he came back to his senses and explained to the fat man, "I was confused. I experienced too many things today. I thought it had been several days." "Okay." Su Yu nodded and said, "Then I'll leave first. You take good care of your health. When you feel better, I'll come and see you. By the way, I will also ask you to buy some treasure maps when the time comes." After a pause, Su Yu hesitated and said, "I want 8 treasure maps this time, and I have all the money ready." After Su Yu left, the fat man breathed a sigh of relief and said with some fear, "I almost thought he had thoughts about me. Fortunately, he did it for the treasure map. Hey, wait, he suddenly wants to buy 8 treasure maps. Is he digging up something good?" The fat man suddenly felt very painful. "If I dig it, that thing will be mine." After regretting for a while, the fat man hesitated and whispered, "How about I go dig too?" The fat man was a little confused. Should he go digging? If he really wants to dig, the risk is too great. Even if he has become a warrior now, there is still a great risk. Yes, after Su Yu left in the morning, he became a warrior, although he was only a warrior rank 1. After a long while, the fat man closed his eyes and secretly told himself, "That's it. I'll just recuperate. If I find myself in serious danger, I won't be able to run away with my small body. Now, I have money, but I don't have a treasure map." After leaving the hospital, Su Yu sighed and took a taxi home. In room 808, Building E, Night Watchman's family building, Su Yu came back and started reading, Warrior Rank 9, From Beginner to Master. The book is very thick and I don't have 3 or 5 days to read it. Moreover, some of the contents are very profound. If you want to understand it, 3 or 5 days will definitely not be enough. Looking at it, suddenly, the doorbell rang. Su Yu was surprised and thought for a while, could it be that Lindsay was back? After opening the door, Su Yu was stunned. Where was Lindsay outside? A big black dog stood outside, looking at him quietly. Before he could speak, the big black dog squeezed in, then went straight to the balcony and lay down, lazily basking in the sun. Su Yu. 6. This dog has become a spirit, and he still knows how to ring the doorbell. Su Yu thought that maybe the big black dog got bored and simply came over to visit. These days, the cubs of the mythical beast vermilion bird are born. When they are dying, they can still beg for mercy. A big black dog knows how to ring the doorbell, and there seems to be nothing wrong with it. After closing the door, Su Yu ignored the big black dog and picked up Warrior Rank 9, From Beginner to Master, and read it again. This book, From the Shallower to the Deeper, allows Su Yu to understand the Warrior Rank 9 better and better. Among them, it is also recorded that the breathing method created by the Daxia official can make people steadily improve their cultivation strength. In addition, there are some combat skills, secret techniques, etc. that Warrior Rank 9 can use. It turns out that Warrior Rank 9 is not as simple as I thought. It is too profound. The more Su Yu saw, the less he felt about the Warrior Rank 9, and he felt that he was so insignificant. These combat skills are all special force generating skills, similar to how to move 1,000 pounds with 4 ounces. As for the secret skills, they are a bit complicated and require a certain price to be used. Or there is no need to pay a price when used, but it will cause serious consequences later. The sequelae. It's really strange. I've become a night watchman, why doesn't anyone teach me combat skills and secret techniques? Su Yu looked at it and suddenly became confused. Combat skills and secret techniques needed to be taught by someone. It's not impossible to learn by yourself, but it will definitely be much slower. Shaking his head, Su Yu continued to read. But at this moment, the phone rang. It was Lin Zi. She said on the phone, "Su Yu, come to the branch immediately." Then, the phone hung up. Did something happen? It sounded like he was quite anxious. Su Yu dropped the book, stood up quickly, and was about to leave. Suddenly, he thought of the big black dog, and hurriedly walked over and asked, "I want to go to the night watchman. The branch is here, do you want to go home?" The big black dog glanced at Su Yu lazily and didn't bother to pay attention at all. "You are a real dog," Su Yu said helplessly, "then I'll leave first, and you can stay by yourself." As soon as the door closed, Su Yu went out directly. After Su Yu left, the big black dog's ears moved to make sure that Su Yu had gone far, then he stood up and slowly walked around the room. After a while, it found Su Yu's computer and turned it on directly. Do you still need to enter the password?" The big black dog spoke human words, frowned slightly, and there was light flickering in its eyes, as if it was emitting some very special fluctuations. In just 2 or 3 seconds, the password was cracked and the computer entered the desktop. The big black dog controlled the mouse, opened the browser, and checked the history. Waiting online. This world is full of malice towards me, what should I do? What is the treasure map? How many levels are warriors divided into? Being a warrior, why is he called the king of war? Why no chi refining, foundation building, gold core, nascent soul? What kind of organization is the Night Watch? Is there a great emperor in it who is in charge of the world? Could it be arbitrary for eternity? The big black dog became more and more shocked as he looked at it. His eyes were wide open, as if he felt a little unbelievable. Could it be that Su Yu comes from the ancestral star? The big black dog thought to himself as he quickly cleared all the historical records. This is the secret. It's fine if it knows, but it can't let everyone else know. Then, the computer shuts down and everything goes back into place. It returned to the balcony and continued to lie down, lazily basking in the sun. At the same time, Su Yu, who was heading to the Night Watch branch, stared at the surveillance on his mobile phone and broke into a cold sweat. This dog is not simple. It saw my computer's browser history. What should I do now? Su Yu exited the app and cleared all the history of the mobile browser. When he arrived at the Night Watch branch, Su Yu's expression returned to normal. After seeing Lin Zi, he smiled and said, "Sister Lin, what do you want from me? Here are the 10 treasure maps that the minister rewarded you with." Lin Zi took out 10 treasure maps. "Thank you, minister. Thank you, Sister Lin," Su Yu said happily. "I thought I would have to wait until tomorrow, but who knew, I gave him 10 treasure maps now. What a good minister. Also, in view of your performance this time, the minister has given special approval to allow you to become a regular employee immediately," Lin Zi said with a smile. "So, Su Yu, you are now a real night watchman. This is your new night watchman's ID. Please keep it and don't lose it." After a pause, Lin Zi said again, "Although you have become a regular employee, you still have to do the training that an intern night watchman should do, and you must not miss any of it. I will inform you when the training time comes. Tomorrow morning, remember to report to the branch at 8 o'clock. I will take you to practice first. Okay, now you can go." After Lin Zi finished speaking, she turned around and went out. She was very busy and had no time to take care of Su Yu. Su Yu didn't mind and went out. Because he had something on his mind, he walked back slowly, not in a hurry. Boom! Suddenly, as if there was an earthquake, the world shook, and in the distant sky, a dazzling beam of light rose into the sky and swept across the sky. Terrifying power spread, and nearby buildings were shaking. Boom! Su Yu saw a figure flying through the air at a shockingly fast speed. That seems to be Minister Li Xiao. Another figure flew by, wearing a pair of underwear over his head. Is that the bald Captain Lai Gang? Su Yu looked stunned. What happened? So much so that Captain Lai Gang put his underwear on his head now. This is a very embarrassing thing. Even if Lai Gang was prepared, it would not happen immediately. The only answer is that someone might have dug up something extraordinary, which would be extremely dangerous. Su Yu, While Su Yu was thinking, a figure fell down. It was Lin Zi. As long as you are here, something happened ahead, you have to come with me. Lin Zi mentioned Su Yu and asked while flying, by the way, can your dog head guillotine still work? It can be used. Su Yu hesitated, and then said quickly, but it can only be used once. After one time, it cannot be used again in a short period of time. As long as you can use it, you might have to take action this time. Lin Zi said hurriedly while flying. Someone dug up zombies after using the treasure map. There are too many and it is impossible to count them yet. The most important thing is that among the zombies dug up, there are many zombie kings. Zombie king. Su Yu couldn't help being shocked when he heard this, and then asked, a zombie king comparable to the king of war? That's right, Lin Zi said quickly. Ordinary zombies, no matter how strong they are, only rely on instinct and have no intelligence at all. But with the zombie king, it's different. Their intelligence is not inferior to us humans at all, so, they are quite scary. When we arrive later, we don't need you to take action. If we can't solve it, you will need to use the dog-headed guillotine, or you will need to kill the strongest zombie king. Su Yu nodded after hearing this. Now that you have joined the Night Watch and enjoyed the treatment of the Night Watch, you still have to take action when it is time to take action. Moreover, once you make a contribution, you will definitely be rewarded with a treasure map. Soon, the two of them appeared on the rooftop of a building. Su Yu looked down and saw that the entire road was filled with zombies in strange clothes. They continued to spread in all directions, occupying one area after another. In the center of them, a space emerged. It was like another world, and zombies were swarming out of it. According to my observations, the number of zombies that have descended is at least over 10,000, and these are the ones that escaped. As for the number in that space, it is unknown. Lin Zi spoke with an ugly expression. Su Yu's face was also very ugly. He had just transmigrated, but he hadn't become strong enough yet. As a result, he encountered an army of zombies entering the country. Is this the end of the world? Boom! The sky shook, and Minister Li Xiao held a spear and nailed a zombie to death in midair. But in the blink of an eye, 7 or 8 zombies rose into the sky, drowning Li Xiao in an instant. They can fly. This is definitely not an ordinary zombie, but a zombie king. Tisk! A bolt of lightning lit up the sky. Lei Gang was wearing underwear and hit it hard with a hammer. 2 flying zombies were smashed to pieces by his hammer, but in the next moment, more zombies rushed forward. Protect yourself well and don't rush to take action. With so many zombie kings, there must be one that is the strongest, even one that is infinitely close to the king of war. Lin Zi looked at it for a while and whispered, my mission is to find it and then kill it. Lin Zi stood on the rooftop, put her fingers into her mouth, and whistled. The big black dog flew from the rooftop in the distance and landed next to Su Yu. A purple battle armor emerged from Lin Zi's body, covering her whole body. A purple spear appeared and was held tightly in her hand. At this moment, Lin Zi gave people a heroic and charming feeling. Protect Su Yu. Lin Zi finished her sentence, holding the purple spear, and shot out instantly. Poof! A zombie was killed by Lin Zi on the spot, but more zombies rushed towards him. Lin Zi fought alone, killing zombies with their heads rolling. However, among the zombie army, zombie kings are constantly rising into the sky to join the battle. Buzz! Suddenly, a flash of swords slashed down, and hundreds of zombies were killed on the spot. Captain Zhang, who dug up the cub of the mythical beast Vermilion Bird, came to kill him with a knife, and instantly started fighting with 7 or 8 zombie kings. From all directions, night watchmen rushed over one after another and joined the battle. However, Su Yu saw that the number of night watchmen was too small and could not stop the zombie army. As for the zombies killed, they seemed a bit insignificant in front of the huge number. If this continues, sooner or later the fun will be over. Su Yu thought to himself, do I want to run away now? Yes, Su Yu wanted to run away. If you can beat him, then of course he will. But if you can't beat him and still try hard, then you have a mental illness. I'm just a warrior rank 2, what can I do? I can't do anything. Su Yu was confused and uncomfortable. Bold zombies, how dare you come to our Tianhe city? Suddenly, a loud shout came. Su Yu followed the sound and immediately saw a tall figure walking through the air carrying a huge speaker. The man looked to be in his 30s, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, and his clothes were somewhat shabby. The passionate BGM came from the speakers and spread everywhere. Accompanied by BGM, visitors will feel as if they are entering an uninhabited land, killing hundreds of zombies in an instant. Dozens of zombie kings soared into the sky and pounced directly on them, but in the next moment, these dozens of zombie kings were knocked upside down and flew away. Citizen Chow dug up a stereo after using the treasure map. Su Yu remembered the news he had seen before and recognized that this person should be named Chow. Suddenly, Su Yu sensed something and saw a young man coming from another direction with a woman in ancient costume. The young man's strength seemed to be average, but the woman in ancient costume behind him was holding a sword. As the sword light flashed, a large number of zombies fell to the ground and never got up again. 5 or 6 zombie kings rushed forward, but in the blink of an eye, their throats were sealed by the woman's sword. Their figures fell, already too dead to die. Citizen Duan used the treasure map to dig out a woman in ancient costume. Now he has applied for an ID card and household registration for the woman in ancient costume. Su Yu thought about it. This person should be named Duan, and the woman in ancient costume behind him was dug out using the treasure map. I don't know what era he was from. His swordsmanship was superb and unrivaled. Su Yu was a little envious. When can I find such a beautiful and powerful woman? Maybe she can be my wife. Boom. Suddenly, a huge chessboard fell from the sky and enveloped hundreds of zombies. On the chessboard, the zombies turned into chess pieces and started fighting each other. Among them, there is even a zombie king. They want to get rid of the chessboard, but the chessboard is like heaven and earth. They are on the chessboard, just like they are in heaven and earth. How can they get rid of it? Citizen Shu dug out a chessboard after using the treasure map. Shu was trapped in it. The night watchman has organized people to rescue him. Su Yu guessed that the owner of this chessboard should be named Shu. He was trapped inside before, but he should have been rescued now. As the strong men from Tianhe City arrived one after another, the situation was immediately under control. No matter how many zombies there are, they are not enough to kill. Suddenly, Su Yu's sharp eyes saw a zombie moving rapidly among the zombie army. When they arrived below Minister Li Xiao, the zombie suddenly rose into the sky, and terrifying power spread out, shaking the sky. Not even a guillotine. Lin Zi spoke first, and her voice reached Su Yu's ears. Su Yu cheered up and knew that it was the strongest zombie king. Immediately, Su Yu shouted loudly and loudly, "Here comes someone. Wait with a dog-headed guillotine." As Su Yu's voice came out, the world shook in an instant, and the dog-headed guillotine flew out. At the same time, 4 illusory figures appeared, and 2 figures went straight towards the strongest zombie king. The opponent is extremely powerful, and in the realm of the King of War, he is an invincible existence. But at this moment, he was forcibly held down by 2 figures and dragged towards the dog-headed guillotine. One person placed a basin in front of the guillotine, and the last person raised the guillotine. The strongest zombie king struggled fiercely and tried to escape, but it was of no use. Below, several zombie kings once again soared into the sky quickly, trying to stop the 4 illusory figures. But as soon as they got close, they were immediately hit hard and their figures flew out. Finally, the strongest zombie king was pinned under the guillotine. Open the guillotine. Su Yu was extremely ashamed in his heart, but his voice was like a bell, and it was loud and clear. No, the strongest zombie king couldn't hide the fear in his eyes and begged for mercy. "I was wrong, don't kill me." Not only was it so frightened, the remaining zombie kings were also very frightened. They are not afraid of death, not afraid of death at all, but for some reason, they are filled with boundless fear of the dog-headed guillotine, as if the dog-headed guillotine is not just as simple as killing them. Vaguely, it saw a dark face with a crescent moon between its eyebrows. Behind him, there seemed to be 4 large gilt characters, Mingjing Gaoheng. Poof! Cut it off with the guillotine. The strongest zombie king, his head rolled off. For a moment, the whole place was silent, and everyone and all the zombies looked at Su Yu in shock. Too strong. It's really too strong. Even Li Xiao had already seen the power of the dog-headed guillotine once, and now that he saw it again, he still found it unbelievable. Directly killing a zombie king in an instant. Is this really what Su Yu of warrior rank 2 can do? Suddenly, harsh sounds came from the mouths of the zombie kings. In all directions, all the zombies suddenly rioted. They turned their heads and looked up at Su Yu. Then, they rushed towards the building where Su Yu was located without fear of death. Some zombies entered the building and flew up the stairs, while some zombies climbed directly up the wall and climbed up from the outer wall of the building. In just a few seconds, the building where Su Yu was located was surrounded, with zombies everywhere. The number is terrifying. It was like Su Yu had poked a hornet's nest. All the zombies were targeting Su Yu. There were even zombie kings who gave up their goals and went directly towards Su Yu. Take him away. Lindsay killed a zombie king with one shot, and then shouted anxiously. Hearing this, the big black dog pushed Su Yu into the air. When Su Yu fell down, he was sitting firmly on its back. Its figure jumped directly to the rooftop of another building. Crash. When the zombies saw Su Yu leaving, they fell from the previous building like dumplings. As soon as they landed on the ground, they immediately chased after Su Yu. I'm done. Su Yu couldn't help but said. After using the guillotine, I don't have much power in my body, and now I'm almost like an ordinary person. Su Yu looked back and saw that ordinary zombies were not that fast. However, several zombie kings were chasing them, and their speed was extremely fast. Suddenly, the big black dog stopped and stretched out his paw to open a car on the side of the road. It signaled for Su Yu to drive away, but it rushed back without any hesitation. Its speed is too slow and it will be overtaken sooner or later. Instead of doing this, it is better to let Su Yu go first while it stays behind. Grass, you think so highly of me. How can I drive without a car key? Su Yu cursed, and after getting off, he saw a shared electric vehicle parked next to him. He took out his mobile phone to scan the code, and then immediately rode away. Even though he killed one of the strongest zombie kings instantly, his own strength was really not that strong. Warrior rank 2. Moreover, the strength in the body is gone now, and it is about the same as that of ordinary people. Not to mention the zombie king, Su Yu couldn't defeat even ordinary zombies. Therefore, it is respectful to run first. Fortunately, there was a big black dog behind to break the queen, otherwise, Su Yu knew that he was dead. It's too dangerous. We can't do anything like this again next time. Your life is your own. If you are weak, take care of yourself. Su Yu thought secretly. Suddenly, Su Yu felt something in his heart and stretched out his left hand. Suddenly, 2 treasure maps appeared out of thin air and fell into his palm. Su Yu opened his eyes wide. Is this a reward from God? After thinking for a moment, Su Yu understood that because he killed one of the strongest zombie kings, he was rewarded by heaven. Zombies and I are incompatible. As a night watchman, my duty is to protect my home, my country, and the common people. Su Yu turned around and looked at the zombies that were besieging the big black dog fiercely. He gritted his teeth and said, just wait, I'm going to dig for the treasure map now. When I dig out the treasure, I'll kill you. The speed of the shared electric car was faster, and Su Yu arrived at his destination in just 3 minutes, then took out a treasure map and looked at it intently. There is a pill sealed here. If you swallow it, you can quickly restore the power in your body. Golden handwriting appeared, and Su Yu saw the prompt and immediately used the treasure map without any hesitation. A space appeared. Su Yu stretched out his hand, grabbed the pill inside, and swallowed it without thinking. The elixir melts in your mouth. The power in Su Yu's body had been exhausted, but at this moment, the power was restored instantly. Moreover, more power was born, giving Su Yu a feeling that he was about to burst. Grass. So strong. I think I can fight 10 of them now. Su Yu gave up the shared electric car and ran out like an ape. Soon, Su Yu saw that the big black dog had been submerged. Several zombie kings were besieging the big black dog, and countless ordinary zombies pounced on the big black dog without fear of death. The big black dog is in danger. Here you come, I'll serve you with a guillotine. Su Yu's voice was as loud as a bell. After hearing this, the big black dog suddenly turned around and looked at Su Yu in surprise. Several zombie kings who were besieging Su Yu looked up in fear. They saw 4 figures emerging, 2 of them striding towards them. In an instant, they suppressed one of the zombies and dragged them directly to the dog-headed guillotine. Kill. One of the zombies locked eyes with Su Yu, showing a fierce expression. The next moment, they all rushed towards Su Yu. But at this moment, the void shook, and in addition to the 4 phantoms, 2 rows of phantoms appeared. They were holding water and fire sticks and came directly to kill. No one could get close. In the distance, Li Xiao, who was fighting, suddenly looked back with a shocked expression. The dog-headed guillotine has become stronger. Yes, the guillotine has become more powerful. The first time and the second time, only 4 people manifested. This third time, there were actually 2 more rows of government servants holding water and fire sticks. Although they looked very unreal and could only be seen as silhouettes of people, all the people of Daxia could recognize who they were with their eyes closed. When Su Yu used the guillotine, he needed someone to protect him, but now, he didn't need it anymore. These government officials will protect Su Yu so that no one can get close to Su Yu. Open the guillotine. Su Yu was refreshed and his voice was as loud as a bell. Poof! Cut it off with the guillotine. The zombie king was pinned under the guillotine of the dog's head and beheaded on the spot. However, this was not over yet. Another zombie king was forcibly suppressed by 2 figures and then dragged under the guillotine. Open the guillotine. Su Yu's voice came out again. Another zombie king was beheaded. The remaining zombie kings were all shocked, their eyes full of fear. Without any further hesitation, their figures immediately retreated and stopped killing Su Yu. In their eyes, Su Yu is too strong, and what's more, this dog-headed guillotine is not just as simple as their bodies, but also their souls, wills, thoughts, etc. It can be said that once they are killed by the dog-headed guillotine, they will completely disappear from this world. When the time comes, even the arrival of the great principal Golden Immortal will not be able to save them. As they went away, the vision disappeared, and Su Yu did not pursue them. He recovered a lot of strength, but he could only sustain it 3 times. Now, I have used it twice. If I use it again rashly, I will become an ordinary person again just like before. He still has some strength left, he can still dig for treasure maps, and he still has some ability to protect himself. Boom, boom, boom. The big black dog took the opportunity to knock 5 or 6 zombie kings upside down. When they landed on the ground, these zombie kings had stopped moving. They were obviously too dead to die. I'm leaving first. Su Yu waved to the big black dog, turned around and ran away. The zombie kings ran away, but there were still ordinary zombies rushing towards them without fear of death. These zombies have no intelligence, are not afraid of death at all, and do not care whether they are destroyed physically or mentally. Su Yu, get out of the way. Suddenly, Su Yu heard Lin Zi's voice. He suddenly looked back and saw that Lin Zi was beaten and knocked towards him. Without any hesitation, Su Yu immediately moved sideways. Boom! Lin Zi's figure hit the ground hard and slid for 7 or 8 meters before stopping. Poof! Lin Zi vomited blood and looked pale. It was obvious that she was seriously injured. The 3 zombie kings wanted to kill Lin Zi here, but when they saw the dog-head guillotine held in Su Yu's palm, they had to stop. They dare not come forward, fearing that they will become headless corpses under the guillotine. Sister Lin, are you okay? Su Yu came over and helped Lin Zi up. Do you think I'm okay? Lin Zi seemed a little aggrieved. You hid pretty quickly. There's nothing I can do. I'm just a warrior rank 2, what can I do? Su Yu felt even more aggrieved. He also wanted to catch Lin Zi's, but his strength didn't allow it. I'm fine. Lin Zi raised her eyes and stared at the 3 zombie kings in front of her. Although I'm injured, I can still fight. Okay, Sister Lin, you fight them first, and I'll take a step forward to see if I can dig out something. Su Yu turned around and ran away. He is only a warrior rank 2, not on the same level as the zombie king. The reason why he was able to kill the zombie kings one after another was not his power, but the power of the dog-headed guillotine. In the blink of an eye, Su Yu's figure disappeared. Lin Zi couldn't help but be slightly startled. Is Su Yu so afraid of death? At this time, the big black dog rushed over and stood beside Lin Zi, facing the powerful enemy with Lin Zi. Boom! Soon, a fight broke out. At the same time, Su Yu was walking fast, holding the treasure map in his hand, looking at the coordinates on it, and constantly correcting his direction. Suddenly, 2 ordinary zombies came out of nowhere, shocking Su Yu. Su Yu reacted very quickly, picked up the trash can next to him and smashed it down hard. After dealing with the 2 zombies, Su Yu simply ran away. Suddenly, Su Yu felt something in his heart and stretched out his left hand. Suddenly, a treasure map appeared out of thin air and fell into his palm. Is this a reward for me? Su Yu looked happy. Why did you only give one? Su Yu was a little confused, but didn't think much about it and continued on his way. A moment later, Su Yu came to the department store, kicked a zombie's head away, then took out a treasure map and looked at it intently. There are 100,000 zombies sealed here. Once it is opened, your city will be removed from the list. Golden writing emerged. Grass. 100,000 zombies. Just kill me. After Su Yu saw it, he couldn't help but cursed. At this moment, who dares to release 100,000 zombies? With 100,000 zombies, I dare not sell this treasure map. I can only keep it for myself. My 200,000 yuan. Su Yu wanted to cry but had no tears. I remember that the coordinates of several treasure maps are near the department store. Su Yu put away the treasure map, looked for the coordinates again, and then took out another treasure map. There are billions of poisonous insects sealed here. Once opened, 100 miles radius will become their paradise. The golden writing appeared again. 1 billion poisonous insects. Su Yu couldn't imagine that if the treasure map was used to release it, the danger would be more terrifying than 100,000 zombies. No, next one, next one. Su Yu shook his head and continued to the next destination. Fortunately, there are more treasure maps this time, and there are quite a few near this department store. There is a saint sealed here. You have a certain chance of becoming her Taoist companion, but you also have a certain chance of becoming a soul killed by her sword. The golden handwriting appeared again, making Su Yu's face look very ugly. Ah. Why isn't the probability 100%? Su Yu couldn't help but fantasize, if he could become her Taoist companion, would he be able to be in the immortal class? Even if you can't be ranked in the immortal class, you can still have a soft meal, right? Su Yu thought that the friend named Duan, followed by a woman in ancient costume, was really scary. Why can't he? Perhaps my strength is too low. If I were strong enough, wouldn't the chance be greater? Su Yu thought thoughtfully, will this reminder also have certain changes due to my strength? That's all. What are you thinking about now? Move on to the next one. Su Yu left immediately and headed to the standard location for the next treasure map. Sealed here is a piece of dog hair that the roaring sky dog naturally sheds. It originally had incredible power, but because it has been so long ago, its power has long dissipated, but it is also a rare one-time treasure. Looking at the golden handwriting, Su Yu couldn't help but be startled. The hair of roaring sky dog. Disposable treasure. I wonder if it can solve this zombie army. Su Yu didn't think much and used the treasure map directly. There is no danger in the golden writing, so there should be no danger. In the current situation, Su Yu thought it would be better to use a treasure map. There are so many zombies that the night watchmen alone cannot stop them. The supporting night watchmen are still on the way, but it will take time for them to arrive. I wonder how many casualties there will be in this process. Of course, Su Yu is not that kind. He only wants to protect his family and country and protect the common people. What he wants is to get more treasure maps. Defend your home and country, protect the common people, and you can get a treasure map rewarded by heaven. Soon, a space appeared in front of his eyes, and Su Yu saw a white dog hair. Maybe it's because of the endless years that have passed, or maybe it's the dog hair that the roaring dog naturally sheds. It doesn't have much luster on it, but it still gives Su Yu a thrilling feeling. At the same time, the big black dog who was fighting side by side with Lindsay suddenly turned back and looked at the department store with some surprise. It moved inside. The white dog hair trembled slightly, as if it was about to fly away, but just for a moment, everything returned to calm. The white dog hair was picked up by Su Yu. In an instant, Su Yu understood how to use white dog hair. Perhaps this crisis can really be solved. I just don't know how many treasure maps I can get after solving it. Su Yu was extremely excited, clutching the white dog hair tightly, and quickly rushed towards the zombie army. Sister Lin, I'm back. Su Yu rushed back and saw Lindsay's armor broken and her hair messy. It was obvious that Lindsay had gone through a tough battle. Next to Lindsay, the big black dog saw the dog hair tightly held in Su Yu's hand and grinned, wanting to snatch it away. However, he is a quality dog, so he endured it. Sister Lin, can you take me to the rooftop? Give me a view where I can see most of the zombies. Su Yu spoke. Lin Zi was stunned for a moment, and immediately she reacted. Without asking, she lifted Su Yu directly into the air and landed on the rooftop of a building. After Su Yu stood still, everything he looked at were zombies. Ordinary zombies have spread in all directions. Although many zombie kings have not left, they are still fighting against the night watchmen. They were so strong that they killed and injured every night watchman, even those as strong as Minister Li Xiao, who were bleeding all over their bodies. On the road, there is another entrance, where countless zombies are swarming out. There are even some zombie kings among them. If this continues, Tianhe will inevitably be lost, and when the time comes, it will inevitably turn into a purgatory on earth. Su Yu looked down at the dog hair in his hand and murmured softly, whether I, Tianhe, will be safe this time, it all depends on you. Then, in front of Lin Zi, Su Yu's face turned red and hot, and he opened his mouth and said, "Woof. Woof woof woof. Su Yu, what's your dog's name?" Lin Zi was shocked, surprised, and thought Su Yu was crazy. Su Yu ignored it and stared at the white dog hair in his hand. At this moment, the white dog hair seemed to come to life and floated gently. Then, it starts burning. In the blink of an eye, it turned into ashes. That's it, no more. Su Yu was stunned. Is this one-time treasure just gone? Su Yu, what's going on? Before Lin Zi could finish her words, her eyes widened with an expression of disbelief. A white dog, shaped like a white elephant, emerges. On its body, Dao Rhyme is extraordinary. After seeing it, people can't help but want to worship. The big black dog happened to follow up at this moment. Looking at the white dog that looked like a white elephant, there was an inexplicable look of nostalgia in its eyes. Woof! With the sound of a dog barking, everyone felt that the sky suddenly darkened. They all looked up and saw a bloody mouth biting down. At this moment, it was like the end of the world, and everyone felt a deep despair. Poof! On the ground, zombies, whether ordinary or King of War level, exploded one after another. Boom! The bloody mouth did not stop, and finally penetrated into another world and swallowed the zombies inside. Soon, everything returned to calm. At this time, the night watchmen all came back to their senses. Minister Li Xiao was covered in blood. He was desperate and broke out in cold sweat. Now, after coming back to his senses, he immediately looked at where Su Yu was, a look of relief flashing in his eyes. Just now, he saw some and guessed that Su Yu did it. He is really a talent. Li Xiao couldn't help but said. Night watchman, follow me into the space and get rid of all the zombies inside. Li Xiao crossed the mountains of corpses and led the night watchman into the space. Inside, there were countless casualties. That bloody mouth was so powerful that it killed countless zombies. But there are still zombies left. However, they were seriously injured and frightened. They encountered Li Xiao, who came in and retreated steadily. Finally, within 10 minutes, Li Xiao returned with his men. Send the order, the whole city is on alert, looking for the remaining zombies. Li Xiao spoke. Lin Zi carried Su Yu down from the rooftop and came to Li Xiao. She smiled and said, I have already sent the order. All departments have already started to take action. It should not be a big problem to deal with the remaining zombies. Well, that's right, Li Xiao nodded. Then, he came to Su Yu and asked, was that your masterpiece just now? Su Yu scratched his head in embarrassment. That's a piece of dog hair that Su Yu dug out using a treasure map. Su Yu said that it's the dog hair that the roaring sky dog naturally sheds. It's a one-time treasure, Lin Zi said with some regret. Wouldn't it be great if it wasn't a one-off? The dog hair of the roaring sky dog. Li Xiao couldn't help but glance at the big black dog, and then asked, is a hair that the roaring sky dog naturally sheds so powerful? How powerful is the real roaring sky dog? The big black dog turned his head away and seemed too lazy to pay attention. Su Yu didn't know much about such a strong person. He just shook his head and said, I don't know about that. In short, he is very strong. Su Yu, do you still have dog hair like this? Li Xiao looked expectantly. No more, it's just this one, Su Yu said with some regret. It would be great if we could find the roaring sky dog's kennel. There must be a lot of dog hair that it naturally sheds there. I can pick up a few of them by then. 100 roots would be great. Behind Su Yu, the big black dog stared at Su Yu, grinning as if he wanted to bite him. Ha ha, Li Xiao couldn't help laughing and said to Su Yu, if you really have this opportunity, remember to call me and we will bring back its kennel. Even dog hair has such power, Roaring Sky Dog's kennel is probably even stronger. Hey, that's what the minister said. Su Yu rubbed his hands and said, in addition to the kennel, there may be Roaring Dog's rice bowl, toys, etc. Get them all back. Woof. The big black dog couldn't help it and bit Su Yu on the butt. Su Yu howled miserably and couldn't help but jump up. Su Yu reached out and touched his butt. There was blood on his hand. Su Yu looked at the big black dog and said angrily, why are you biting me? I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Lindsay hurriedly came over and apologized to Su Yu. Then, she glared at the big black dog fiercely, and then said to Su Yu, you were injured, go to my house, and I will take care of you. Medicine. Su Yu touched it and saw that there was bleeding, but the wound was not deep. It was probably just a broken skin, but he didn't know if it might be rabies. If the dog is rabid, that would be a real problem. Also, now that he has started genetic evolution and is already a warrior rank 2, will he still be infected with rabies? What are you afraid of? At this moment, Bald Lei just walked over, took off the underwear on his head and stuffed it into his trouser pocket, and said to Su Yu, I have been bitten too, and nothing happened. Moreover, this big black dog's teeth are cleaner than ours, so he'll be fine. After a pause, Lei Gang held Su Yu's hands and said, thank you this time. If you hadn't sold me these underwear, I would have died in the battle this time. The underwear Su Yu sold to Lei Gang can increase his strength by up to 20%. Don't look at this 20%, it can really save lives at critical moments. In today's battle, Lei Gang was on the verge of life and death several times. If it weren't for these special underwear, he would have died, and the night watchmen would all be waiting. Therefore, he was really grateful to Su Yu. It's okay. If there is something good in the future, I will still be the first to think of Captain Lei. Su Yu smiled. Su Yu, let's go, I'll take you to apply for medicine. Lindsay pulled Su Yu and left quickly. The big black dog bared his teeth at Li Xiao for a while, then left. This dog is really not a good thing. After the big black dog left, Lei Gang couldn't help but said, I don't think it's a good thing either. Even I bit it at that time. If it weren't for Captain Lin's sake, I would have killed it long ago. Captain Zhang fell down and spoke slowly. Okay, stop talking, Li Xiao said thoughtfully, don't mess with Lindsay's big black dog. It's not simple, and its background is probably astonishing. He thought of something, but it was hard to say now. If it was really what he thought, then the origin of this big black dog was indeed astonishing. It's just that some details don't match up. By the way, how many zombies will survive this time? Li Xiao asked. Preliminary estimates suggest that the number is at least over 100. Lei Gang looked slightly solemn and said, ordinary zombies are not afraid of and are easier to deal with. However, 3 zombie kings escaped and their current whereabouts are unknown. The whereabouts are unknown. Li Xiao pondered for a moment, calling the city's surveillance cameras, we must find them. Yes. After Lei Gang and others left, Li Xiao pressed the Secret Service earpiece and said, everyone, you don't have to come to support us. The zombie crisis has basically been solved. But now, 3 zombie kings have escaped and their whereabouts are unknown. We need experts who are good at tracking to come immediately for support. Li Xiao, has the zombie crisis been resolved? How? Someone asked. Someone here dug out the dog hair that the Roaring Sky Dog naturally shed, and inspired the little bit of power that the Roaring Sky Dog left on it. This solved the zombie crisis. Li Xiao said very proudly. Real name Envy. What kind of luck do you have? You encountered crises 3 times in a row, and you solved them all by yourself 3 times in a row. By the way, have you found the person who wields the Rui golden cudgel? There was constant sound coming from the special agent's earphones. Tianhe City indeed encountered 3 crises in succession. In the first time, someone dug up a dragon. The second time, someone dug up the baby of the mythical beast Vermilion Bird. The third time, someone dug up the zombie army and almost brought Tianhe City into the apocalypse. Fortunately, all 3 crises have been resolved. We don't have a clue yet, Li Xiao said slowly, I will tell everyone when I find it. Room E807, Night Watch Family Building. Su-yu originally wanted to go back to his home, but Lindsay forced him to come here. Lie down on the bed and take off your pants, Lindsay ordered. Sister Lin, isn't this bad? Give me the medicine and I'll do it myself. Su-yu hesitated. In broad daylight, this is really bad. Hurry up. You are grinding, you are not a man at all. Lindsay urged, take off your clothes quickly and lie down. Are you still waiting for me to take them off for you? Su-yu had no choice but to lie down on the bed. The fragrance of the bed reached his nose, making him feel relaxed and happy. Reluctantly, Su-yu took off his pants. Lindsay's face turned slightly red when she saw this scene. She took out the plaster and applied it quickly. It's cool and quite comfortable. Su-yu couldn't help but say. It's really comfortable. This is a plaster I dug out using a treasure map. It treats trauma. It's miraculous, Lindsay said proudly. Normally I don't use it on others, but this time it was just because you were bitten by my dog. This is just for you to use a little. As Lindsay spoke, she applied the plaster to Su-yu's wound very gently. After waiting for 3 minutes, Su-yu touched his butt and found that there were scabs on it. So awesome, Su-yu asked in surprise as he pulled up his pants. Of course it's so amazing, Lindsay said proudly. I was seriously injured several times, but it saved me. After a pause, she said to Su-yu, okay, you can go back now, don't worry about your butt, it's fine. Okay, thank you, Sister Lin. Su-yu felt inspired and quickly said goodbye and returned to room 808. As soon as he came back, Su-yu stretched out his left hand, and a total of 15 treasure maps appeared out of thin air and fell directly into the palm of his left hand. You've killed so many zombies and you only gave me this little treasure map. Isn't this too tricky? Su-yu couldn't help but complain. At the same time, room 807. Lindsay looked at the big black dog and asked, you suddenly bit Su-yu, did you find anything? The big black dog is as smart as a monster, even humans may not be able to match it. It will not bite people casually. Biting people has a strong purpose. Did you see it? The big black dog looked up, a little surprised. HMPH. Lindsay snorted softly and said to the big black dog, tell me, what exactly did you find? Is there something wrong with Su-yu? Speaking of this, she couldn't help but worry a little. If Su-yu had a problem, how should she deal with it? The big black dog thought of the history of Su-yu's computer browser, but he shook his head and said, no problem has been found so far, and Su-yu's blood is normal. Really? Lindsay stared at the big black dog, always feeling that the big black dog was hiding something from her. But for a while, she couldn't tell what the big black dog could hide from her. Then why did you bite him? Lindsay said angrily, it's a waste of my divine medicine. It's not like you don't know the value of my divine medicine. Lindsay was really distressed. Even a small amount of this plaster could be auctioned for a sky-high price outside. Even she herself is usually reluctant to use it. Because this kind of medicine cannot be refined at present, and the only source is to dig it out through treasure maps. The big black dog rolled his eyes at Lindsay and said slowly, I was angry when I heard that he was going to move my kennel, my rice bowl, and my toys. What happened if I bit him? Is there a problem? The big black dog expressed his dissatisfaction, which means that Su-yu is one of his own now, otherwise, he will bite him to death. Didn't you say that you are not a roaring dog? Lindsay was silent for a moment and asked. Did I say that? The big black dog shook his head, his eyes filled with confusion. Then you mean, are you really a roaring dog? Lindsay was aggressive, her eyes shining. If you think so, then so be it. The big black dog didn't bother and came to the balcony and lay down lazily. By this time, it was already dark and the lights were brightly lit outside. You are such a strange dog. Sometimes you say you are a barking dog, and sometimes you say you are not. Now even I can't figure out whether you are or not. Lindsay sighed helplessly. Room 808. Su-yu came back, took off his pants, looked carefully in the mirror, and found that there were really scabs. Sister Lin's medicine is really powerful. It's getting dark now. It's hard to go out and dig for treasure maps. I can only wait until tomorrow. I hope there will be some surprises for me tomorrow. Su-yu put on his pants and stood on the balcony, worried. I am only warrior rank 2 now. When can I dig out good things and become the king of war? Warriors are just the weakest beings. Above warriors, there is also the king of war. Like Lin Zi, like Li Gang, like Li Xiao, they are actually all kings of war. Their strength is quite terrifying. Su Yu couldn't help but be envious. Whether it was his previous life or this life, strength was actually the most important thing. It can even be said that no matter in the past, present, future, or in any civilization, strength is ranked first. Su Yu was very eager to become stronger, especially after experiencing the 3 crises in Tianhe City. This urgency became particularly strong. Without strength, even with the protection of the night watch, the possibility of death is very high. For example, although today's zombie crisis has been solved, after the zombies arrived, who knows how many people were killed or injured. Become stronger, become stronger, become stronger again. Su Yu secretly told himself. If you don't have enough strength, you can't even beat a dog. It's really sad. After taking a shower, Su Yu surfed the internet for a while, read the news for a while, and then turned off the computer. The next day, it was dark and Su Yu was going to go to work at the night watch branch. As soon as the door opened, the big black dog that had been waiting for a long time squeezed in. Good guy, you still dare to come. Su Yu was angry, raised his foot, and was about to kick the big black dog out. However, before he hit the big black dog, Su Yu realized that he could no longer kick him no matter what. There seemed to be a wall in front of him that was invisible to the naked eye and very hard, blocking his kick. The big black dog walked past Su Yu with his head held high, his eyes full of disdain. Good morning, Su Yu. Lin Zi came out and said to Su Yu, it's just a dog, don't get along with it. By the way, it seems to like you very much and always wants to stay in your house. You don't mind, right? I actually mind it, Su Yu secretly said in his heart, but said in his mouth, it's okay. I'm just worried about thieves coming in. It's actually a good thing to have a dog to watch the door for me. After closing the door, Su Yu followed Lin Zi to the night watch branch. When they arrived at the night watch branch, Lin Zi said to Su Yu, it's okay for you to come to work. Go and read a book. If a night watchman goes out to do errands later, you can follow him and study. Okay. As soon as Su Yu responded, he saw Lin Zi had entered the conference room. There is a library in the night watch branch. Su Yu went directly into the library, found Warrior Rank 9, from beginner to master, and hid in the corner and read it. After taking a look at the camera, he found that he couldn't clearly see what he was watching. Su Yu felt relieved and took out his phone to watch the surveillance directly. During the surveillance, the big black dog was lying on the balcony, very quiet. The morning sun represented vitality. Su Yu vaguely saw something golden, following the sunlight, entering the body of the big black dog. Am I dazzled? Su Yu frowned slightly, and looked carefully, but saw nothing. After a while, the big black dog got up and wandered around the room. Finally, it came to Su Yu's computer, turned it on, entered the password, then opened the browser and checked the history. This dog is really a sperm. He can input computer passwords more smoothly than me. Su Yu couldn't help but complain. In front of the computer, the big black dog's complexion gradually turned black. Waiting online, I'm very anxious. It's a big black dog. How can I make it delicious? The big black dog clicked on a historical record, and the light flashed on the dog's paws, and he almost took a photo. However, it held back and continued to look at the next record. Soldier Rank 2, I was bitten by a big black dog. Will I get rabies? Do I need to get rabies vaccine? There is a big black dog. How do I tell whether it is male or female? If I find a partner for it, will it bite me to death? Or will it thank me? What kind of medicine can confuse a big black dog that is worthy of a war king? Do dogs have natural enemies? How can I beat a big black dog that is as good as a war king with a warrior rank 2 cultivation level? The more the big black dog looked at it, the uglier his face became. He held his breath in his heart and felt extremely uncomfortable. It wanted to smash the computer with a slap, but after thinking about it carefully, it gave up. Then, it silently shut down the computer. This time, it did not delete the history. Back on the balcony, the big black dog slowly lay down and continued to bask in the sun, as if nothing had happened. Seeing this scene, Su Yu silently turned off his phone and watched. Warrior rank 9, from beginner to master, again. Su Yu. More than half an hour later, Lindsay finished the meeting and found Su Yu, and said quickly, just in time, someone dug up a giant python. I took over the task. Come with me. After leaving the library, Lindsay's voice echoed in all directions. A small team of people will gather at the door. At the same time, Lindsay pressed on the night watchman's watch. Su Yu's night watchman's watch vibrated immediately. When he looked down, he found that the assembly icon was displayed on it. Following Lindsay out of the door, Su Yu saw 10 people waiting neatly at the door of the night watchman branch. Captain. When they saw Lindsay, their faces showed enthusiasm. I have sent the target location to everyone, set off now. Lindsay ordered. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.